welcome, Andran Atishan. Welcome to our Dragon Age special here at the Transmissions. The Crows send their regards. Before I introduce the story and we introduce our players, I'm going to give our content warning that Dragon Age is a setting which has some dark and difficult themes, not only with some grisly horror, but also in its political and cultural tensions. There are power imbalances throughout the lands of Thedas, and we may on occasion touch on these in our story. Rest assured, we will be as respectful and considerate as possible when we do, and we have discussed our lines of veils prior to today's session. We can check in with each other, but we want you to also be mindful of your own comfort levels. As important as these stories are to voice, your happiness and comfort should be paramount, and as such, we would never judge you if you need to step away. That being said, now my delightful players are going to introduce who they are and who they are playing. I can start with myself. I'm Amber Hamalu on the internet. I use they them pronouns, and I am the storyteller for this fine story. So, if we can go in the order we did before, which I'm happy to prompt to remind you, Bex.
Hi, I'm Bex. I use she, they pronouns. I can be found at Phoenix Force on the internet. And today I am playing Isolt Cantori, your menace rogue.
Quite the menace indeed. Yes, indeed. Ruben.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruben, they, he pronouns. You can find me on mostly Blue Sky under Urban Friendden, and I will be playing the Mouse, a musician with a penchant for disabling but not quite killing people, and somehow it's worse than that.
Somehow it is worse. Indeed. Jacob.
Hi everyone, I'm Jacob, and I am using he, they pronouns, and you can find me at Water Mosaic anywhere. And I'll be playing Ellerin Kasora Ariani, she, they duelist extraordinaire.
Finally, Fraser.
Hi everyone, I'm Fraser. I use he, they pronouns. I try my best not to be on the internet because it's really bad out there. So this evening I will be playing Eduardo Cantori, who uses he, they pronouns, the former Antivan noble turned professional killer versus all of these menaces or duelists or musicians.
Quite an assortment, if you will. Indeed. So, we rejoin our story in the beautiful city of Treviso, in the nation of Antiva. Here, the legendary Assassin's Guild, the Antivan Crows, rule the city from the shadows and the rooftops. Our tale is following 4 individuals, each from 2 rival houses, as they expertly maneuver around a rather large predicament. 2 separate contracts with the same target in mind. This would be difficult enough on its own, but there is a further complication. The mark is also a fellow Antivan Crow. Escandalo. We got to witness the assassins as they investigated their mark, only to realize the situation they then found themselves within. Careful conversation, probing questions occurred, and after sharing a drink with each other in one of the cafes by the water, they have come to an agreement of sorts. They will work together so that they might all successfully close their contracts. After all, to let the other team succeed would mean that someone would have to break their contract, and crows never break contracts. Some further information was gathered at the home of the victim from one of the senior members of his house, the Della Morte, after some saucy sparring. And we saw one of our crows reporting in to their mentor in an attempt to cover their back should things go wrong. So, join us this evening as we bring the story to a close. Will our crows find success? Will they work together? Will someone be stabbed in the back before the night is out? Let us now find out. We are going to be checking in with our pairs individually just to see what they have found out, what they're thinking, any theories, any strategies before we check in with the other pair and then come together as a 4. I would like us to start with our Cantores. So, Eduardo, Isolt, where do you think the pair of you likely meet when you are disseminating information? Do you have a frequent spot?
I feel like Isil personally likes to meet places that are technically public. Like they like to meet in like coffee shops and bars and spots like that where it is not unusual to hear people having conversations. And there's plenty of background buzz to cover anything they might say.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I think like some sort of like public park, like a public square almost.
Yeah.
Thinking like we're of a aged gap that this is clearly just a man and probably his potentially his daughter, niece, just out on an evening meetup.
Sure, an evening meetup. I imagine there are small businesses that are cafes or wine bars that have the seating area out in this little public square, where you're
or
able
even
to...
like the market, like
Yeah.
wandering around the market.
Treviso Market.
Yeah.
Beautiful with the lanterns and the colors and the buzz and the pickpockets, no doubt.
Of
So,
course.
as the pair of you walk together with the aroma of the market passing by spice stalls with all of that aroma, and then a place selling perfumes off fish market, it's aromatic to say the least. So, please, how would your scene play out, do you think?
I think Isil starts, they always start. They have so many words to say and in their heads so little time to say them. So we'll kind of meander up to Eduardo's side very casually, and start in just, okay, checked in, spoke with everyone back at home. All good. Seems to be that we're off the hook for anything big and bad. So love that for us. We're doing great. Went really well. I think we're gonna be able to get a little bit of help if we need it. So like, I don't know. Hey, if everything goes wrong and we need to not be in this situation anymore, we can call in some friends. And isn't that wonderful?
Absolutely fantastic to hear. Yes, interesting. Found some very interesting information. Yes, and I kind of just hand you a couple of letters. One of which if you would just don't need to read it right now. I understand you've got other business, I'm sure, but some of our more militant neighbours, and Eduardo's kind of just gesturing wildly with his hands, sort of like to. He's just kind of like some potential conversations with some individuals of that our interested party may have, and also just interested, just a letter to just if I remember rightly, this is me as a player forgetting something. Give me just a moment. Yeah, and also, you remember your that oh so pretty young individual that we met a couple of nights ago?
Yes, yes, I do.
Some correspondence between our new friend and them
Interesting.
about having
Interesting.
completed certain jobs and certain tasks, and just worth noting.
Delightful.
Our quiet friend is an interesting young person, by the way.
I just, unsurprising to me. I dread to think, frankly. I really do. That bad, huh? Yeah.
It's strange.
Hey, and that's coming from you. That's wild.
Some very, very odd things that I've seen in my life, and that was the oddest.
Wow, this is like our job. This is like your career. And you're surprised now? Wild. I love that. Well, sounds like you did a good job. I kind of did nothing. I just kind of went and saw some friends, which lovely for me,
You,
but
you, it's very good. I think it's very good. You've got us some backup just in case things go a bit south.
well, I
I
just
don't trust
don't.
these.
Yeah, I don't trust them either, and I like to have an insurance policy, let's call it.
I've always thought you're much you're you put yourself up. You do very well at putting forward the airhead, and it's just so
Yeah.
not true.
Well, the more people think it is, the less likely they are to work out that I know everything. And when you know everything, everything goes wrong. So I'm glad that everyone thinks that I pay no attention and I have no attention span, and sometimes I forget things. And some of those things are true sometimes. But also, sometimes I'm good at my job, you know?
You absolutely are, and I'm glad glad to have you at my side.
Aw, that's very sweet. I'm glad to have you on my side too.
So, which one do you want if we have to do what we need to do?
Oh, you know I want the quiet one. It'll just be
I
so
thought
much
you might.
fun.
Understandable.
Like, it's not like it would be a surprise, you know?
No, no one would be. No. It
Exactly.
has been a
Like,
while since I've danced with Cass, so
yeah, it would be lovely. Aw,
It'd be
little
lovely.
nostalgia moment. Love that for you. Look, it's nice to have plans in place, you know?
It is just it's good to plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Yep. That's absolutely the worst case scenario. It's definitely not the best case scenario.
No, 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 no.
No.
I wonder, do you think you are going to strategize and plan for your side of the execution? Or are you going to wait and find out information from the other pair prior to making any plans?
I think Izzle would like to know what the others know before they start making plans, but is also kind of secure in that like idea that they're the ones that are going to finish the job. The other pair have this mercy clause that we don't have to concern ourselves about. It's a lot easier to end a life than it is to mess with it and still show mercy, I think, in Izzle said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Eduardo's very much of a mind of, well, ultimately, as far as they understand, the the mercy clause is only a if you can, if you have to kill him, you have to kill him, and if that takes that we have to sort of engineer some sort of situation where there's a fight, and you know they're just forced to they're forced to not fail their contract, but not do it perfectly, and we do ours right. Then hey, well, that's just a shame, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just a terrible, terrible shame.
Terrible shame indeed. Okay. So, our camera pans away from our pair in the markets to our Aranai. I wonder, do the pair of you have a frequent spot that you would do your scheming in?
I'm thinking maybe like a windowsill where, like, in an alley where we're just like the sort of like the position of Cass just like standing tall and me just kind of like like bent crouching like between her legs and just kind of like looking like a street gang almost,
Mm.
and kind of putting
Like
that
an
as a
album
front.
cover art.
Yeah, that as well. Just like
Okay, yeah.
Pet Shop Boys, absolutely.
Hat out, of course, because who doesn't want to earn a little extra coin while
Yeah.
we're plotting and planning?
True.
Hold on, gotta get this in.
As the as the music plays, and occasionally people will pass and toss a little coin to you, how does your discussion or communication go?
I wait until there's no sort of like passerbys, and then I sort of like pluck a chord that invokes just like the scent of like fish and the emotion of like someone disobeying, trying to convey of like Eduardo walking out of my attempt of sort of like making them stay, um, and conveying that to Cass of like something's fishy. We can trust these people. I also sneeze a lot because I feel like someone's talking about me. What?
My ears got hot all of a sudden.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not normally superstitious, but that's awfully suspicious. Well, our pretty boy has certainly not won a lot of friends in his own house, and even I'll name drop a little bit. Even Ilario apparently has a problem with him. So he knows that he's got shit coming at him from all sides. So it might actually be a surprise that the contracts are coming from outside, even. But I hear you about not trusting this. I feel like it's we're in a tricky position here. We have delicate work to do.
I look up, try to make eye contact, and Emma, what clue did I find at the end of last session again?
You were sniffing around and caught the scent of saffron, which was dropped because we know that Lucanus, he likes to cook and he likes well-seasoned food. So the sudden spilling of the cut spice pouch that was on his belt when he was sparring with Cass, it seems like there were aromas that suggested that perhaps he had been there. The exact nature, obviously, it is difficult to know, but Lucanus de la Morte is the grandson of the not only the leader of his own house, but Caterina de la Morte is the first talent. She is kind of the one who's in charge of all of the crows.
Right.
And his cousin Ilario has just been mentioned there. Ilario is the suave, flirty, charismatic, charming one, and Lucanus is the socially awkward bisexual dumpster fire, and king of my heart.
Apparently mine as well.
Apparently yours as well. Yes. So, the fact that he'd been there is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I want to like pluck an arpeggio, and I wanted to convey the this aromas of that saffron that I smelled, and link it to what Cass just told me about, like who she just talked to, as well as taking out from a even though I'm wearing like a loose tank top, I've just get an envelope out of it, like it doesn't have pockets, but it just like whoop out of there.
Where do you keep the? Never mind.
And I kind of just like have I want to sort of like convey the idea of like we plant this letter somewhere with the saffron.
What is the letter?
Wow.
I think it's still unwritten. We can still sort of like
Yeah.
figure out the
Sealed
details.
still. So, it is a sealed, currently unrevealed, unread crow contract
Mhm.
that was found in Emiliano's place, our mark.
Does that
So,
mean that it's a contract that someone wrote to, like, is it Emiliano's contract that he's
yes.
delivering to the crows?
No, I suspect
Or-
that it is a contract that he has been given. He is still a crow after all.
Mhm.
So
So
something
he
that
is
he has to enact. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and it's still sealed.
We open that
Okay.
shit up, right?
Well, here's what we do. Hold on. I step down off of the windowsill. I walk across the cobbled street to the bar across the street. I lean over some patrons, taking one of my very long, thin knives, and I hold it over a candle for a moment, and then slide it under the wax seal so that the seal is not broken. And I pop the envelope open, and I lean in and I say, "Pardon me," and then I walk back across, and we begin to read the contract.
Yes. There's going to be elements to what this contract is. So I'm going to ask for, and I will type them into our call chat here so that we can see the questions. The first one
Great.
is, who is the mark? We're looking for who has given the contract. So who's the one wanting the person killed? What did this person do? So what's their crime? Why are they being assassinated? And another feature of the contract. So, for example, we know that the one that was given to the RNI has requested, if it is possible to do mercy killing and perhaps deliver him to this ex-lover. That would be preferred if it is possible. So that's another feature to the contract you were given. So we have 4 of you here, my little co-conspirators for this case. Feel free to pick any question that draws your eye that you have an answer to. So who is the mark being killed? Who gave this contract? What did this person do to warrant said contract? And another feature of it.
Tasty, difficult.
Yes.
I have a proposal that wraps it deeply in the conspiracy of what Emilio has going on.
Yes.
But I am wondering if this is too deep in itself.
Okay.
So we know that Emilio is making a power play in a merchant house that they were born into, and then they were essentially adopted out of by the crows. And they attempted to remove their half sibling. They attempted to remove their lover's other lover so that they could be more in with their lover's merchant family. And what if this is a contract for their parent? And they had someone take that contract out for them so they would have plausible deniability about why their parent died, and then they stepped in. Then things went wrong. They were unable to kill their half sibling, and that's why this contract is unopened. It's a proposal. Maybe it's too deep in the sauce of it, but it just popped into my head.
Oh yeah. So this contract is maybe sitting there sealed for a reason. He does not want to open it because it is purely an alibi.
Yes, but I don't know if it helps us in this case story-wise. That's my only
That
proposal.
part perhaps not, but there are 3 other elements we can layer into this that might make it useful. So it's a contract for the parent. Who might have given that contract and want this merchant prince dead? We already know that there was a contract against this person that was from their child because the child wanted parent gone. And then Amelia was like, well, can't have that. and informs the parent.
But now does the exact same thing. At least who that is the mark. But um, could it be Emilio himself that is given the contract?
So taking a contract out on his own parent.
Sort of like saw what the sibling was doing, was like, I can do it better almost. But I don't know if that makes sense because he's not the legitimate heir, right?
Sure. I think he was hoping to get legitimized.
So did I get the detail wrong then, that they didn't try to off their sibling, they revealed the contract that their sibling took out on their
Their
parent?
sibling, yeah, they revealed the
Okay.
contract that their sibling had taken out contract on their parent.
Okay,
Right.
so I have to take a little back. Is it
Oh.
on their own sibling?
Ooh.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So there's a contract for the life of their half sibling, the legitimate child,
Which would be Noah.
Noah Alfaro.
Noah Alfaro.
Right.
Okay.
So that is the mark. And then did they take it out on? This is tricky.
Could it be like just lots of crossed wires, you know, and maybe it is said ex-lover, because clearly Noah is gunning for Emilio.
Oh, so the ex-lover who also took out a contract on Emilio did this
for
one as
mercy
well.
killing.
For mercy killing as well. I see. But actually wants this legitimate heir taken care of. Gotcha. I think I like that a lot. That we're dealing with like our own employer, sort of like getting in our business a little bit.
Yeah.
That's messy.
Very messy. Okay,
Right.
what's another feature of this contract that we think might make this interesting and useful?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Mateo wanted it done publicly. It wasn't meant to be a quiet assassination. It wasn't meant to be a thing. It was meant to be a spectacle.
Like, make an example of them.
Yeah, like just like in the middle of in the middle of the day, like a kind of a situation in a crowded area, like.
So why didn't he give it to me? That's my specialty.
You have the contract in your hand now. It can be yours.
If we kill our colleague's contractor in the middle of their job,
What happens then?
I don't. That's a good question.
I think what happens then is we still fulfill the contract because the contract existed before the death of the contractor.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah.
I think with like this contract, known and the contents known, I think the mouse sort of like scribble something, and like so this contract put it out on our Mark's half sibling. What if it's just like a little sentence was like, have them meet, and add a little saffron to it.
I don't know if I follow exactly what you're hoping for.
Sort of like add the saffron is like a known attribute of sorry, what is
It's Lucanus de la Morte.
Lucanus de la Morte is kind of like style, and we can sort of like frame sort of like if we show this with saffron and like imply like, oh, de la Morte took out a contract on the half sibling and like have them meet in the same public space using the same contract. It's like a get together of like, hey, there's a lot going on again. We have to figure this out. Or like have them butt heads almost.
But we know who took out the contract already, right?
But they don't know who took out a contract on them. Or am I misreading it?
I think the contract. Now I'm just confused about the logistics.
Yes. Me too.
They don't know that we know that they know that there's saffron.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like, the conspiracy board with the red string has just become a circle.
Yeah, okay. I have to just cut through we're just confusing ourselves. Look, the problem is that to complete our original contract, we have to do some delicate work, and our colleagues, as lovely as they may be, are not the delicate types. And so, do we hand it to them, do our work, and then they step in and do theirs, and then we are all happy, quote unquote? Or do we want to complete our contract to the letter or to the intention and the best of it?
I think I want to sort of like hand off the harp, the Syringion, to Cass, and to like urge you to like strum it once and see what you feel, see how it makes you feel.
Bloom.
And I think you just like have this surge of being in control of someone's like absolute input of like what they receive of the world, and that is such a overwhelmingly cruel but blissful experience as an assassin that it shows you the mouse's position of like I need to do this the merciful way.
Okay. Okay, little brother. Then here's what we have to do. And I lean down to the mouse's ear and and plot and plan.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to make a couple of moves.
Oh. Please do.
Perfect.
What moves are you making?
The very first thing that we need to do is we need some kind of, I guess, diversion or chaos or something. And so, I mean, the theme is saffron, and maybe there's like a spice market or a little festival or something that the city has. And so I would just like to essentially either convince a city official who I might happen to know, or if I have to forge the paperwork myself, change at the last moment tomorrow's license, like tomorrow's permit for where this market is going to be right in front of the hotel or the place he's staying in.
The apartments, yeah.
The apartments. To just fill that street with absolute chaos of people rearranging and rebuilding a market and setting it up and shopping coming and all kinds of stuff, and of course gondolas and boats coming in to come to the spice market as well. So that's the first thing I'd like to do. The second thing that we need to do is we need to get word to Emilio that he's in mortal danger. Possibly even from within his own house. And I open a locket of mine that has some portraits in it that are very personal to me, but also has a couple of pieces of saffron still inside of it. And I would Excuse me.
You just hear just like a pluck string. I was like, sister.
Come on. It's nice
Really?
in cooking, right? And I'm not so wealthy, so I get to get it where I can. If it's off of the mat of a sparring place, then fine. And I would like to, with the mouse, figure out if one of us should, I don't know, forge a letter or some sort of note from Delamorte saying, brother, you're in incredible danger. There's going to be a diversion tomorrow, and we can get you out.
Delicious. Okay. Let's do those rolls. We will just to see if they are likely to come off without a hitch, or maybe there will be hitches involved. And then we will pull ourselves together as a 4 at some point. So the first one is likely to be within your contacts specialization, which I believe you roll. Is it persuasion for that?
I think so.
So let us roll to see the caliber of person that you have contact with and if they have the ability to rearrange an event.
I believe this is communication persuasion,
Yes.
which I rolled focus.
Yes, you do.
Not bad.
Delicious and delightful. 19 is incredible.
Not bad.
Yeah, in this
bad.
game, 11 is a simple pass. By 18, there's very little you can't do. So 19 is incredible. You find somebody that you know quite well.
Alfonso, I'm so incredibly sorry to bother you at this hour.
Oh, anything for you, my dear. What can I do you for?
A very good friend of mine is staying in the hotel by the waterfront, and I want to do something for his birthday and surprise him with the spice market. The entire thing. I know it's crazy. It's totally crazy, but you know me. I'm full of wild ideas.
That I know quite well. We do have a lot of plans in place that will take some time, but
tomorrow morning, like an emergency. The idea came. We were drinking a little bit. I made, maybe it was a stupid bet, you know, and my mouth ran away with me, and I said, I bet I can deliver you the entire spice market tomorrow. And he laughed at me, and I just it would be so embarrassing.
Well, I would hate to see you unhappy.
We'll make it up to you.
Well, I'm sure that you will. Let me see what I can do. Yes, I can do this for you.
You work wonders.
Let us hope that it does, in fact, work. That's gonna. Yes. I should go and get working on that so that it can actually come to pass. But please, if you are.
If you need me to run a paper across town, I'm all yours.
And then he gets a little distracted and kind of goes over and is like, "Oh no, actually, yes. Here, this, probably one of these, and one of those, and we'll hand some letters over to you. There are 3 sellers that we will need to inform of the change of destination.
Yes.
The rest I can handle myself. Is there enough room in front of there? This was a
yes.
bender of the corner. We could just
but there's a great there's this plaza and a beer garden there, and I'm sure that the pubs will be really glad for the business.
I suppose that's true.
You can call it newfangled idea from abroad. Pop up. I don't know.
Pop up.
Yes, it's try new things in the city. Sometimes the city gets a little stale and you have to keep people on their toes. Anyway, have a great night, Alfonso. I owe you the world.
We'll catch up once we're You can tell me if you're happy with
And-
how it goes.
Yes. And also, the mouse. We will need costumes.
And that's just like play an assortment of um like genres from different like historical eras or like even cultures, and I just kind of like wait for you to go like that one.
That one.
It's like a montage, like a dressing montage.
Yeah. Something especially frilly and colorful.
Mm.
I'm just like, can I rob a clothing store?
Sure, yes. Dexterity, I believe they're sort of like rubbing and sleight of hand is like a ledgerman. But if you feel you have something.
I have. Oh god.
Well, stealth, sure. I would find it very funny for you to do acrobatics instead. It's the same stat, but I find the flavor of using some acrobatics to thieve things from a store quite entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. I am just like hiding. First, I'm like hiding in clothing racks, and then while the clerk is not looking, I just like with a single backflip, I want to take an entire clothing
Yes.
rack with me outside.
Okay.
And remember, the mouse is like 4'9", so he's like
Yeah.
he's small.
Little two.
Holding it above the head.
And then backflip out
And
the window.
every
Oh,
time the clerk turns around, the rack is like slightly more toward the door.
It's like something out of
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild. Please roll acrobatics for me.
Awesome.
Roll with
Yeah.
focus. Mhm.
Yes, I shall. Let's see. That is going to be a 13.
Okay.
Not
Not
good, not
bad.
great.
I'll tell you what, I'm greatly entertained at the imagery, so I will give you an advantage for it. It's up to you if you want to use it just now or store it in your back pocket and just roll with the 13.
I'm gonna keep it for now.
Okay. I'm going to say that you do a backflip to take a whole rack out with you. You fall whilst doing it, so you and the rack now spill out, and there's like chaos, and it causes a table to spill over, and then this little lamp that had been on there knocks over, and it catches something on fire, and so you manage to get the stuff, but it is in a very messy and chaotic. People are distracted. I'm just gonna grab an armful of a few things and scurry off like the mouse that you are.
Yeah, just like playing a tune that that suggested I paid for this all.
Ingenue. I've never done anything wrong in my life ever.
Just a little
Just a
mouse.
boy. Okay. So, just a boy. You do manage to get some outfits that you scurry away with.
I show up to Cass again, lightly scorched, but with all the clothing in there.
What on earth happened?
Dun-dun-dun. Yeah.
Even the playing is slightly lackluster with the efforts of achieving your ends. Okay, so we have a rearranged spice festival, some stolen items. I wonder if we are to pull together to assess with each other where things are at and what has been found out. If you encounter each other as a 4, where do we think that might be? Ahead of Spice Festivals. This is prior to that plan.
Do we
fully
get an
unfurling?
Do we get a note to Emilio?
Sure.
Or at
can
least
have-
to the apartment.
Yes. What are the contents of this going to be? And I believe you're trying to forge it, correct? Who are you suggesting is penning this letter?
Maybe the Della Morta person because of the saffron connection.
Lucanus?
Yeah,
Okay.
Lucanus.
So what letter is Lucanus writing and leaving for Emilio?
You're in great danger. meet me in the plaza tomorrow morning.
There will be a diversion.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be cover.
Okay. Now there is focuses that traditionally would go with trying to forge paperwork. Do you have something that you
No.
would like to apply?
Deception, maybe?
Deception. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll allow it.
I mean, I have a focus in it.
Yeah. Sure.
We're so nice. Please
Because
allow it.
sure, yeah. Because in dexterity we have calligraphy as a handwriting focus. There's also cryptography if we were wanting to do that kind of angle with it. But tell you what,
Is there forgery?
not necessarily, no. I guess that would
Okay.
come under calligraphy, I suppose. What I will allow is if you roll dexterity but roll it with focus, because it'll allow you to use your talents with deception, but the dexterity is because this is very much about how well you can craft something and make it look like it is written in another person's hand.
What if we don't put it in his hand, but we just sprinkle saffron on it?
Okay. Sure. Roll for it.
Is this dexterity still?
Yes, but I will allow you to roll with focus. Either
Okay.
of you can do this.
Let's see. My dexterity is a 4, so I don't know where you're at.
It's the same.
Okay. I think I'll pen a letter. I have an advantage. I can do this.
I have advantages too, so. But go for
Okay,
it.
hold on. I got to. Let me try that again.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy, the other team don't look.
Boy.
We're doing great.
Super
nothing's
good. This is perfect.
Oh.
See?
Oh wow! And you got
got stamp points.
some points.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, actually,
What I will
wow.
say, I'm gonna allow a layer to this, if
Mhm.
you'll allow, to make this convincingly written by Lucanus de la Morte.
Mhm.
This is gonna fuck me so bad.
You wish you would, honestly. You write the letter, and you have saffron. And Mouse, I'm gonna allow you to kind of recall the layers to which you picked up on those aromas, helped by the fact that I think Cass is quite aware of exactly how he smells. He strikes me as the sort that has, you get those scents that are like leather and oud and tobacco or honey. Like that sort of like combination of smells that certain scents have. He's the
Yeah.
kind of person that I imagine smells like that. Why do I know what this smell smells like? Don't ask me, okay? Don't ask. Don't ask. But that is the impression that I
Yeah.
get. So you're like, hold on, and you can go and rummage for things and just not to make it like it's a scented letter, but just enough of a hint of that aroma so that it sells the story a little bit.
There's an impression. Yeah, actually, I want to sort of like pluck in a way that like transfers just a little bit of that of tobacco, of honey. I want to say of maybe even like the docks of like being traveled, going out of
Yeah.
town, that kind of stuff.
He also always smells like coffee because he's a chronic coffee drinker.
All right, that's good.
You know,
It's
just a little bit of just the essence of. Sure, you can layer that in, and I
some
will
nice,
say that.
what is it like? Not Tevinder. What's like Farandel beans or something?
Oh yeah, Ferelden.
Ferelden.
I think it has to say, "Look for my agents." Right.
Yeah. All right, and then you'll recognize them by their costume.
You could write that, or we could just try to press into his hand like a tiny little envelope with a little one more piece of saffron in it.
Okay, let's do that. Let's stick to the just like the quick handoff.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So your meeting has been productive. We have set a stage. We've left some information. I would like to know, we three who are currently in the call, if we were to encounter each other and perhaps do a little bit of an update, share intel, maybe? Where do you think that would be?
Would it be at that restaurant that we met at previously?
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Would
sure.
it be reasonable to think that, like, again, we're working together, we would have at least made plans that, okay, at, say, 2 a.m., we'll come back here, knowing it'll be open or whatever, and just to see, just to share information. Would that be reasonable to assume as we're all professionals?
Okay. Absolutely, you can. Who do we think arrives first? Because there's, pros and cons to both being early to suss the place out and set the stage, to being a little later and just scoping the other pair out first before coming and sitting down.
I think Eduardo would arrive exactly at 2 o'clock. Or at least appear to have arrived exactly at 2 o'clock. I think Eduardo has actually been there for about half an hour, sort of on a nearby rooftop, sort of watching for the other two's arrival. However, he will walk in the door bang on 2 a.m.
The second after you walk into the door, Mouse shows up and plays a strum.
What feeling does it give?
A light tap on the shoulder, and then he just stands on the other side. Just like the sensation of that, but you turn around and you just see the mouse just kind of like, just looking up at you.
Just to counter what you did to them last session.
Yeah, 100%.
Cass is straight up 10 minutes late. Not even like skulking around anywhere. She's just been lost track of time or whatever it was. And when she walks in, she sort of sees you across the place, but goes up to the front and orders a drink and then comes to the table, has a little conversation with the wait staff, then comes to the table. So 12 minutes late.
Excellent.
12 minutes of excruciating silence and staring between Eduardo and Mouse.
Hi, I hope you got a lot done while I was waiting for me.
Staring. Now, as I like to do, especially in settings where it is rich in culture and food, what have we ordered to drink? Do you have any food as well? Given that it is 2 a.m. What do we think's on the table?
What's the climate like here?
It very Mediterranean. It rains, but it's warm quite a lot of the time. So it's on the warmer side of temperate.
I think what are those rice cakes wrapped in wine leaves called?
Domades?
Domades. I think I have like a plate of domades just like in front of me, and just like I'm eating them like a kid would, just kind of like unfurling them. But I think I just also am in control of that image and want it to look off-putting.
Okay.
Of like, okay, it looks like he's playing with his food, but actually he's dissecting things.
Which, given what Eduardo has already seen of you, you're just adding layers onto the impression you have given. Okay, very good. What do you have as a drink, if anything?
I think I had like a little anise drink, like non-alcoholic, but like anise flavored.
Okay. Beautiful.
Very smelly.
The reason I was late is I had 2 more notes to deliver.
Oh.
The first note was a little bit further out. It was to Matteo Rossi saying, please be prepared to collect your package. And I gave the address across the canal, the long way across the canal from the apartment building.
Okay.
from the plaza, and the other one was to a boat, like gondola operator that I know, paying him to be just parked right down at the bottom there that morning, and just to stay there that morning.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
And then I order just a sugary sweet lemony drink with like ice in it. Non-alcoholic, but sharp and sparkling.
Lovely.
And yeah.
I toast you, Bling, but not Eduardo.
Oh, I toast Eduardo.
Eduardo, what are you toasting with?
I have ordered a sort of like effectively like a bottle of wine for the table. It's not good wine. It is like the house. It's the house red. It's cheap. It's not particularly nice. There's 4 glasses. One has been poured for everyone. If they don't drink it, that's up to them. I think I am eating a like just I think it's like a filled flatbread. I think it's got like some like olives and sort of some of the
Like a gyro kind of thing?
like almost like like a gyro or something like that. Like some like meat of some description, some like some chopped vegetables and stuff. I think I probably got that before I came in.
Lovely.
Sort of finishing it off now. Yeah, there's a bottle of wine that's sort of like now probably about mostly empty, and 4 glasses on the table when the other 2, when Cass comes down, raise a glass back, and I will put one towards where the mouse is.
I think I'm just like leaning back on the chair and like still plucking tomatoes, but I pick up like the wine glass between just like with my feet, and I just bring it to my lips while I'm still plucking dolmades, and I just like do not break eye contact while I eat with my foot.
It's so threatening. I love it. taking
like,
an advantage for that. That's bonkers.
And I do like just like from behind me, because I've got tucked away the harp, and I go like a single like pretty good.
So our boy is in deep shit with the De La Mortes as well. And I'm gonna just start to spill what I've learned about like the house knows that he's fucking around and they don't like it.
Is he not particularly subtle? Oh dear.
He is overconfident. And they know it, and he might not know. I think he's the type of overconfident where he might not know it, and he may slip up, if you know.
Not to be churlish about our cousins, but most De La Mortes are.
I know, right? My goodness. They're fine, but wow.
They think that the sun shines out of their ass. I know.
The moment that Cass says they're fine, I play like wow.
Twit.
Put my secrets all on the table, Mouse. Well, now the whole restaurant knows.
I give everyone the sensation of like this is gossip. It tastes like the sensation of cheap wine. Everyone's more drunk than they are at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and this is 2 a.m. We're late.
It's 2 a.m.
There's like probably only us in here and like some really suffering.
I think there's definitely a nocturnal side to Treviso.
Probably another crew of crows like in the other corner doing similar scheming.
And then in the middle, there's like a couple that is on their first date and they're really just digging each other and they have no idea.
Yeah,
No
the
idea what's
couple
going
on the
on.
honeymoon, yeah, visiting from like all day, and they
Yeah,
have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
They-
like the nightlife in Treviso's great, right?
It's wonderful. It's
It's so safe in here. There's
so
no cops.
vibrant. It's like-
it's always something happening.
Look at all these weird people. Like I love they're so menacing. I love it.
there's a kid picking apart Dolmades and drinking with his feet.
While playing an instrument. Wow, is he part of
I wonder if one of them's a crow.
I think just like the bar goes quiet
Yeah.
and everyone just looks.
Yeah.
Someone
like
from the corner goes, "We're all crows," and then the tourist looks horrified, and then
laughter. Yeah. All three of you take advantage of that. That was a delightful scene we have painted there. That poor couple. I imagine eventually they'll make their excuses and go back to wherever they're staying.
They'll go home. They'll be like, "Oh my God, we met crows. We were an inch from our life."
We were going to die. Oh my God, I just know you.
Yeah. So, we have divulged a little information that the Delamorte seem aware of his hijinks and are not best pleased. I'm curious about what you all may discuss, and we have Isolde back. I would like to think that you have not. We've been painting a little scene of us meeting in this little eatery at 2 a.m. Described our food and drink. The mouse is being incredibly threatening by drinking wine with their feet whilst picking apart Dolmades and playing an instrument.
Oh no!
Just...
Oh no!
Sorry, I've tried to house train this one, but I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I pick another Domati with my other foot and hand it to Cass. No, okay.
I don't
Not
eat
food,
foot
Dolmades.
food.
Yeah. No feet on Twitch. So, Isolde, as you arrive, I would like to know the nature in which you arrive a little late, but fashionably so, to this little meeting. And if you order yourself any food or drink, could you describe it to us?
Sure. I think Isolde arrives late, and kind of does the Star Trek Riker sit on a chair, like takes the chair, like swings it around, and like one leg either side sinks down, and drapes their hands over the back of the chair. Looks a little dishevelled. Could have come from a lover or a fighter. Like it really could have gone either way with Isolde. And just orders a pitcher of water, a glass of wine, and then just like the most aggressively carb-loaded meal you have ever seen in your entire life. Like it's just like it's almost exclusively bread and cheese.
Yeah, if I will indulge my Brits here, is it like a munchie box? You know, like it's just because it's 2 in the morning, so it's just all of the deep fried everything that this place has to offer. Amazing.
It's very much that, like the strips of meat that's just like wrapped in cheese, and they're just like, "Yep, this is it. This is what I need."
It was divulged. Perhaps you heard it as you were arriving that the Delamorte are aware of his indiscretions and are not best pleased about his behaviors. But aside from that, we have not really divulged too much yet as a group. So feel free to come and say hello to everybody, and then we'll see what you guys decide you want to talk about.
I think Isolde sits down, orders the food, is like inhaling half the food, and then sort of registers everyone else, points at the mouse, and is just like, "Weird, stop that."
Take advantage of that. That's very funny. Stop it.
Enough.
I think I like stop plucking the Domanes, but I don't stop drinking wine with my feet.
Okay. No, the other thing is the problem. Stop that instead.
I take more of a sip.
Thanks. I hate it. I hate this thing you're doing.
Hey, Mouse. These are our colleagues, and we respect them.
put it down, and I move as if I'm going to pick up a dolmade with my feet, but then I go like, nah, and I just do it with my hands. And I sit as normal.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't get him to use silverware, but we can at least stop with the feet.
Too bougie.
Cutlery is way too bougie.
So, it sounds like our pretty boy has some pretty high up people in his own house upset with him, and they might be gunning for him as well. Could be extra complications. So I just thought I was wondering if you had a play tomorrow.
Well, I confess I didn't think that it had quite as quick a turnaround as it appears to have. I would have preferred to get do a bit more digging and see if I could find, normally I would find out where our young charge would be on his own, and you all know, you've all been through the same training as I have.
Mm.
Seems like we might have a bit more quick turnaround though. Seems like you've had a more productive evening than I have.
If it, I think if it was up to us, we would just sort of sneak in while he's home and serenade him, and then carry him out.
I do have to ask, does that work normally? Because, no offense, Mouse, but you are disgusting and awful. Do people let you in, just let you sit in their house and play to them?
I just kind of lean forward and just like I pluck the most beautiful couple of notes you've ever heard that reminds you both of the first time you've had a good kiss, not your first kiss, but like a good kiss, the softness of grass underneath your feet, and the warmth of a woolly coat during winter times. And you think it's like 3 seconds, but like a minute has passed.
Yeah. Yeah, the evil, the awful.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, weird thing.
I turn to Assault, like, you want some?
Is it gonna be fun? If it's gonna be fun, I'll do it.
Okay, you get a melody that makes you think of 1,000 flaming skulls in a graveyard. Just screaming at you.
Hell yeah.
They'd probably be into that.
It's all shoving bread into their mouth, like, yeah.
It's like, no, it's not how it's supposed to go.
I'm not well, thank you.
Anyway, does that sort of like turns back to Eduardo? Does that answer the question?
I suppose.
Eduardo, I think you and I are the only normal ones here.
I think so, unfortunately. So, I suppose, cards on the table. My next play was I was going to. It sounds like our boy's been busy across town, trying to do everything they can. By the sounds of it, they're trying to consolidate. I was going to have a snoop around Daddy's offices, see if there may be any information on why our boy might be wanting to make a play.
Is sussing that out part of your contract?
It's part of my job. Two different things, but if you know, it could be useful for another job. Do you only work on one job at a time?
No.
I suppose you are in a books.
Can you take another? Like, that's the stickers are fucking fantastic. Take another.
Wow. I like choke on a domada. It's like, oh my god.
Bit of rice. Oh. Hmm.
We don't. Right.
It's fine. I'm sure your method works well. Anyway, yes.
Indeed.
Do you just go up to the bulletin board and take everything down?
No, that'd be too gosh. I get a poor person to do it for me.
You have to stop calling me that.
Advantage. Good job. Well done.
That's okay.
Tickled. Well.
I mean, no harm in doing more info gathering. It's probably going to be a quiet day tomorrow.
I think I want to sort of like pluck a question of like, do you, like as the other team, do you know where he is?
I look towards Assault, see if they've got any info.
Assault has no info at all, but is not going to let that slide. And it's just kind of like, we could. Do you know where he is?
Affirmative.
Oh, isn't that so nice of us? Perfectly level playing field.
String scheming, yeah.
Let me check something on our sheets. Feel free to carry on role playing. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
I don't know, famously that means you need to worry about what you're doing.
Well.
I think while Zolt and the mouse are kind of sparring, I think I would like to make. I think it's like an open crow symbol, like that, not like a house specific one, to Ellerin. Just say like, kind of that we should talk privately at some point. Doesn't have to be now.
There's an affirmative agreement.
Yeah, that symbol is put across a proposition to perhaps discuss something as a pair. Isult, I think it stands to reason that you're distracted by carbohydrates. And
frequent
mouse,
case.
You know, yeah.
Mouse is so focused on antagonizing people.
Well,
I'm trying.
yes.
I'm making the skulls increase in size, but like Assault's loving it.
It's just yeah, it's just getting better and better. Mouse, while you're doing that, you're gonna look and just over Isolt's shoulder. You're gonna notice that there is someone sat at a table on the other side of this little seated area from you that clearly has been watching your table. There's a moment where your eyes clock theirs and they go back to acting natural. And what would you like to do about that?
I think instincts kick in and sort of like I want to sort of tap the underside of the table so I get everyone's attention. And I do the thing of like, don't look now, but like at a later point, look in that direction. And can I, from this, like where I'm seated, kind of like do a quick like perception or like see what's going on?
So, well, within perception, we tend to have a range of things. We are most likely looking for seeing, but searching does apply. You could do hearing if you were wanting to listen to things. So depending on the way that your character is built, in a perceptive sense. Certainly for you, you can roll for that. Roll
Would,
again, Loki.
because I like rolling with the skill. Does smelling apply, or is it
I
not?
don't think. Yeah, in this instance, I don't think there's an awful lot of information you're going to gather from that. I
And I
could
was
roll something. We're all here to improv. I can yes and you with smelling. The other senses are going to pick up more.
gotcha. No, I've got hearing as well. So because I'm a squeaky little mouse.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd-
Okay.
Oh, hello, little cat. I'm gonna roll with focus, and I'm gonna roll so well. What did I roll? Oh, that's really good.
That's wow. Fucking hell. Yes. So you start to look around, and there's a few things that you will pick up on. You realize that in the banter at the table, the back and forth between yourself and Isolde, the conversations being had, the various things that have been said where we very much be focusing on ourselves, the space around you has become quite quiet. That couple have gone now, and actually you will the first thing that you clock that really seems out of place is that there's nobody behind the counter, and that perhaps the people that are sat at the tables around you are there for you all.
Is there a crow-eyed signal to be like, we're in a situation?
Yes, very much so. There will be several. I would be curious to know what you think that should be between this particular group.
Throw up gang signs. No.
Blood.
The mouse is blood.
Right.
Let me record it.
Yeah.
No, I think because like assassins and like people who are in that industry, like, and like bodyguards as well, like focus on hands a lot and hand gestures and sort of like eye movements. I think I'm just going to continue eating with my hands, but like put my feet on the table. And I think Cass knows that it's like articulating something, and I want to sort of like cross my feet and then maybe like flap like a crow. Like go like this. On my little toesies.
What the heck? Yeah, okay. So you do the universal sign for a bird, but with your feet.
Yeah.
Cass immediately, on sort of like the first hint of something off, immediately deflects back to an earlier running gag in the conversation, and is just like, the mouse, don't even think about eating with your feet again. Like, as you put your feet up on the table, almost as if we're on the same wavelength, just sort of like really trying to hone in that we're so self-absorbed and driving that in, but almost as a cue to the others as well, of like, the mouse hadn't even put their feet up at that moment, and just sort of like just as like a note to the others.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll look sort of at Cass and then back at the mouse, at his feet moving, and then we'll go, stop it, I'm sick of saying that to you. And it's like bringing their glass closer as if they're going to like spike it with more alcohol, but when they tip the hand, you can see it's a little poison vial that they're concealing down their sleeve.
Excellent. So we get ourselves prepared. We're aware that there's something afoot, and that is when you will become feet. Only feet. That's the mouse's OnlyFans. Only feet. Is the sort of like telltale sound of a chair scratching and creaking against stone, and a blade being drawn as you're about to get.
I have an action in that, not
sure.
against this person.
Yes.
But as there's sort of like a rising tension, I want to take the dinner knife that's in front of me and just slam it down into the table in front of the mouse's feet and just shout, "What the fuck did I tell you? And immediately stand up from the table as if to make an enormous scene and to try to just freeze everyone in the room and take a step back from our table and like whirl around so that I can get a view on the room.
Yeah.
In that moment, can I like roll out of my chair as I'm falling down, but then disappear like underneath another table?
Okay.
It's a lot all of a sudden, but
Stop, drop, and
just
roll.
let us know.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. I think we have a moment where we're I think trying to wrest control of a situation where it feels as if you've had an ambush set upon you, but you are trying to turn the tables as a group, and you're highly trained professionals. If you are sorting poison vials, disappearing underneath a table, standing up to turn around, you will notice that everybody that is in this space is now looking at you. They are ready for combat. And on that note, I think we will pause. We are going to take our break, and when we come back, we're going to do a very cinematic combat scene here in a little eatery in the Antivan city of Treviso. So, we're going to be gone for about 10 minutes to hydrate ourselves and prepare ourselves for combat. Please do so yourself. We will see you in 10. Bye, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to part 2 of the second session and last session of our Dragon Age special here at the Transmissions. The Crows send their regards. Before we dive into the combat that was triggered just before the break, I want to show off my t-shirt to everyone. Oh, Nug Life. Oh, no, it's vanishing. You can't see my face. Nug Life. Fucking love nugs. They're skinless potatoes. Okay. We are here. We are definitely professional assassins at the top of our game here. Whether we eat or drink with our feet is none of your concern. A combat was triggered when it became quite apparent to the mouse that other people had seemingly filtered out of this place. There were a few left behind in seats. Even the person behind the counter is no longer there, as the creak of a chair pushing back and a weapon being drawn.
I kind of hope the tourists are still here.
You know what? I think I'd said they left, but I do think it would be quite funny if they'd gone to the bathroom and they were coming back to their table just as this is about to kick off.
Like out of the bathroom door, like, oh, honey,
yeah, went on a little smoke break and now they're back in like, oh my gosh, the crows are crowing. We've got Cass, who stood up and turned with a flourish. Mouse disappeared underneath a table. Isolde, you were sorting some things out with some poison. Curious, what is Eduardo doing as this is about to kick off?
Eduardo appears to just be continuing to. He's about to have the last bite of his hero.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, waste not.
Appears completely unconcerned.
Yeah. It's just a Tuesday, right, for an Antivan Crow. So you are continuing to act natural in this instance. What I will say is, in order to give us a kind of running order for yourselves, could you please roll a dexterity, just straight dexterity? People can take a focus in initiative, but I don't believe any of you did. Okay.
Sorry, tech issues. Sorry, what stat am I rolling?
Dexterity.
Dexterity, perfect.
Oui.
There we go.
Excellent. So, Cass is up first, followed by Mouse, followed by Eduardo the Unbothered. That should be your full name. And Isolde. the carb loaded. So, uh, in a as cinematic way as you feel, you can achieve. What does your character do in this moment? Describe to us how you react to these people and start your own action as combat begins.
I guess the tactic of stepping away from the table was to get a little bit of space and to be able to spin around to actually count how many people are in here.
Sure. I will give you that for free. I will say there looks to be about 7 of them.
And there you said there was the sound of a blade being drawn. Are there multiple blades drawn?
Yes. It looks like they are gearing up for action. People have stood. Weapons are being drawn. They do not carry the markers. Just given casting your eye over them, they are not dressed like crows, but they do seem to carry themselves with people who understand and know how to handle a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, there's 7 of them, but feel free to take on more than one at a time if you feel so inclined.
I mean, I think Ellerin is just sort of like tosses her hair back and just says, is there a problem, boys?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, we don't tarry with washouts from Crow Academy.
Washouts from Crow Academy. So, as people are beginning the move and lunging towards you, are you attempting to intimidate some hurt egos? Or do you think you might act? They don't look like they're here to talk or respond to you.
I think she's trying to probe for any kind of crack in their facade to understand why they're here. Have we been made, or did we piss somebody else off? Are we on somebody's turf? And that's the question, basically. And so if I can do any sort of perception, empathy, or communication, persuasion, bargaining, deception, something in there, and then I would spend the entire rest of the time just kind of like on the defensive, just trying to understand who they are and how they move.
Parrying, okay. Yes, so perception, empathy makes sense if we're trying to read some body language.
Great. I will do that. That's pretty good.
That's very good. 21 is incredible. I will say you feel confident given that you're an accomplished crow and you understand the way that territory works here. This place is normally fairly neutral, common ground. It is not necessarily something that anybody has laid claim to, nor is it, you know, one of those official crow meeting spaces. That's why you chose it originally, as it was somewhere that could be away from other crows' ears. These people are seemingly not dressed with any common marker in their attire, so it is unlikely that they belong to any sort of gang or organized group. Clocking through a few possibilities in your head, they are likely hired hands, hired swords. That they are going for you for in particular right now suggests that perhaps something is definitely afoot in the case that you're doing. Perhaps somebody knows you've been sniffing around and is now trying to take out potential threats. So, if the rest of the time you're mostly going on the defensive, I would say that you become quite aware that these people are trained combatants. So, they're trained to fight, but not in the style that the crows are. You've been trained to fight with style, with precision. with very specifically looking for flaws and weak points in whatever your opponent is in order to manipulate and use that against them, rather than going in with a big blade, going just for the full tilt combat. So they are not assassins necessarily.
Right.
Which means that although if you clock a hit from these guys, they're gonna hit hard. There's strength behind these hits, which is not necessarily how you would commonly fight, but it does mean that you're likely going to be able to figure out an advantage around that because you understand how to fight these kind of people. So you've been able to gather a fair amount of intel in your assessment, and then also in trying to dodge out of the way of these attacks.
I also feel pretty confident that at least a couple of them took it personally when I called them washouts from Crow Academy.
Yeah. There's a few looking like they're gonna go for you specifically for that comment. Mouse. Combat is kicked off. People are charging at you. There are blades everywhere. There's about 7 combatants, and there are 4 of you. I would like to know, Mouse, what are you doing in this moment?
Having scrambled underneath a table, is there which one is there? Someone close to me, or do I have to like cross?
There probably will be, yeah. Not too terribly far away.
Okay. First, I want to sort of like from underneath the chair, sort of like double kick. From underneath the table, I mean, double kick a chair, sort of like towards someone, so they kind of like stumble or have to move out of the way, to, like not see what's happening, and then immediately sort of like from behind that catapulted chair, I want to sort of like menacingly emerge, 4'9" that I am, and just like play a single note that breaks their entire belief in themselves as a person.
Now, I would say that this definitely likely comes under communication performance, but I would also argue that intimidation is an option.
Let's see what I have. I do have performance.
Okay.
I have very low communication.
Oh dear. Is there something else you feel like you would be rolling with this type of instrument? It feels like it's the...
I gave myself I gave myself the 0 in communication because I want to challenge myself when I do these rolls. Yeah. So I'm going for it. Roll of focus.
So the success feels big.
Yeah. That's terrible. Yeah. It's really bad. I'm going to use an advantage on this one, of course.
Sure.
Okay. We got
16
there.
and 4 stunts. So, yeah, I think this is going to succeed. So I would like for you to describe to me exactly what it looks like when it does succeed.
We kind of get like a POV from this like hired killer, and they see like this just like almost like a kid like emerge from just like a small chair, and just like I think they're ready like internally, like I can whack this kid easily. Their lights go out, just like someone shuts off the lights, and they only see blood red shapes and silhouettes of where people are, but no discerning details. And when they look at their hands, it's always falling apart. Their hands are always in a state of sort of like being broken or just like flaking away almost.
So they just start screaming, most likely. Probably dropping their weapon in the meantime. Excellent. Okay, yeah, horrific. We love that. Eduardo, describe to me, what are you trying to do in this moment as you finish your last bite?
Yeah, I finished my last bite, kind of sigh, stand up. You said that sort of we would have had at least some form of training in sort of fighting this type of person.
Yes.
In our career.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Understanding how to use their strength against them, essentially.
Yeah, which is pretty much exactly what I go to do. One of them like comes in, I think, with like, are they using like long swords or something like that?
Yeah.
Comes in with a swing, and I'm hoping to use the fact that I'm very dexterous and acrobatic. I like kind of just like flip up, like just do like a standing flip, end up on the other side of the sword, and I just, with my armored gauntlet, I just punch the elbow of their sword arm in an attempt to just shatter their arm.
Ah, incredible. Yes. What do you feel you were rolling here? Is this just like a melee attack with your gauntlet? I believe your
I would
weapons
imagine
should come with a
so.
roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't
yeah,
know how,
roll with that.
I don't know how attack roll modifiers work. I'll be honest with you.
So
I didn't
you
put that in my
should.
sheet.
Okay, let me hop in and I shall do that for you. So typically with any kind of weapon, the skill that it is attached to becomes your attack roll. However, if you have a focus in it, it allows you to add the +2 for that focus to set
Okay.
attack roll. I don't believe you have
Didn't take that one.
but that's okay. So we are gonna add in a little 5 in your gauntlet there. So I want you to roll the attack roll first, so the first little dice shape for me.
That is
An
11.
11.
I
That
have like a
might-
billion advantages, so
Yes.
I'm going to use one of those.
Yeah, if we want this to really succeed.
would
I mean, a
love
failure
to
here would be
try-
kind of also hilarious, but I agree.
I would love
think
to
we're
try
gonna-
and roll better than that.
yeah.
That looks like it's going to be better.
Incredible. 18 is phenomenal. Yeah, you absolutely break it kind of goes the wrong way. There's
Yeah.
more screaming that ensues as you hear that sort of like heavy clanging thud of this sword dropping to the ground. Phenomenal. So with some parrying going on and assessing the situation with a note from this instrument that seems to have caused this person to live in existential horror, and then somebody who just had their elbow punched the wrong way. Isolde, what do you do in this moment?
I think Isolde, having slid their little vial of poison down, I think inside their leather dusters they have little reservoirs tucked into the sleeves. So they unsheath their weapons. So they've got a rapier in one hand and then a dagger in their offhand, both of which have now been coated in poison.
Yes.
And whirl on the two closest to them and start going at them with both weapons.
Wailing on them. Okay, I would like you to roll with both weapons, and then
Delightful.
provided you hit, you can tell us what this particular poison does. I'll allow you to get creative with it because the crows, they know poisons. It's more of a Deriva thing, but you know what? Maybe you had a thing with a Deriva for a while and they taught you some fun tricks. Yeah.
All right.
15 will is enough to hit. Do you want to roll with a second weapon attack just to see if you get the 1-2?
Yep. And then no.
Yeah.
Although I used my rapier there, I should have used my dagger because it's my offhand. Hold on.
Roll your dagger.
There we go.
Incredible. So 2 strong hits here on a person. Please describe what happens here.
I think the rapier goes up and finds like a sort of chink in an armor and just slides home into flesh all the way to the hilt. And then the dagger comes in from the side to catch and almost meet the blade as it comes upwards.
Okay.
And with both of them coated in, I think it's their flesh rot poison.
Okay.
So when they pull them back out, it comes out like black and Icarus and dripping, and you start to, much like the hallucination that the mouse put in, you start to see like actual flesh start to pour out of the wound.
It has created an incredibly bloody wound.
Yes.
Yeah, this person is like, oh god, like doubled over, holding
And just
on
like
to.
will kind of look at mouse and point with the rapier and go, "That's how you do it in real life."
I'm the scary one.
I think we can agree that our two youngins here are terrifying. Absolutely delicious. So we're gonna flip combat here. There are multiple combatants here, and this is just the ones here. Anyone who's played any kind of Dragon Age, particularly Dragon Age 2, you finish one wave and suddenly jumping from random rafters, more appear, should you wish more to appear. your character is going to be caught in a moment of weakness and take some kind of injury. I would like for you to describe to me what happens to your character. We will go back in our order. So, Kath, Ellerin, what happens to your character? You're gonna get
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. So she's really trying to um okay, how hurt just
This
for a reference
like
point.
as hurt as you want to be. Some people it's just a stab wound, some people get knocked to the ground. If you want to take like a
Great.
bad injury, like really creative licenses on you for however hurt you want her to be.
Got it. Got it. So, she's been trying this whole time, just sort of like watching kind of what's going on, also collecting a little bit of information on how
Mm-hmm.
her colleagues move and fight. And she is like not drawn any weapons, even though they're at her sides, but she has, in this moment, she has like in the defensive stance, kicked and disarmed several weapons out of the hands of people and is trying to essentially like banter them and try to get one
Mm-hmm.
of them to say who sent them. But she gets caught, like surrounded by two of them, grab her and like pull her arms back, and another
Mm-hmm.
one. I think three of them are sort of down. So if another couple of them like rush in from the kitchen or something, all of a sudden she's got one or two others on her, and she just starts taking body blows from them
Mm-hmm.
by hand because she's managed to kick
You
their
disarm them.
weapons
Okay.
out of
Mm-hmm.
their hands. She's done that, and so, but she's not a broad person. She's tall but not broad, and so she's trying to get away, but it's just like she's lifting her feet up and like kicking around, and then the others rest her, and then the other two that are on her just sort of rush in and just batter her with like body blows until she's like quite winded and just sort of like
Yeah.
spits a bit of blood and looks
Yeah.
up at them.
Incredible. Yeah. I love that. Mouse, my freaky little friend.
That's
You
how
get
I'm known now.
hurt. What happens?
Triple F. That's my name. I think I see Cass getting like restrained and beaten, and I turn around and like want to rush and like do a like almost like a sliding guitar string, but I think as I like have my playing hand with like the strumming glove like up ready to like strum like some discordant chord that will like ruin their brain chemistry forever. I think like an especially burly guy grabs that fist and like pushes like the nail like the sharp claws of the plucking string like into my own palm, so it like juts out of my hand, so
Yeah.
I'm like stuck in my own hand,
Yeah.
and I'm like, ugh.
It's like holding you by the
Yeah.
head.
He like even like lifts me off the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
like, "Argh."
It's like Orpheus. Sorry, yes, very good. So you're lifted off the ground by your hand. Delightful and painful, I imagine. Eduardo.
Yeah, I was sort of like flipping about and sort of like trying to do this, like basically like just really quick punches to people and things like that. And I think one of them sees through that and like but puts like a feint, and I jump to like kind of get out of the way, and they've moved it, and they end up just just running me through like the side. I'm just like just
Oh, yeah.
stabbed through the like the soft bits of like you
Yeah.
don't hit anything vital, but like just
No.
straight like bam,
Yeah, yeah,
impaled
yeah.
like kind of thing.
Right in the soft
It's
bits.
bad.
Rude. Yeah, it's real bad. Blood. Oof. So you are impaled currently. Last but not least, Isolt. You're gonna get hurt. What happens?
Yeah, Isil very much fights like a dancer. They're sort of like whirling their way through. They're a duelist by trade, so they are quick and light on their feet. But as ever, they are cocky and having too much fun. So they're whirling around and genuinely like trying to banter back and forth with these people. No one is taking the bait, I imagine. And takes a step back that's not quite a misstep, but sort of puts them off balance. So they whirl around to turn into it so they don't fall. And as they do, one of them just brings up like a spiked buckler and just shears up their face.
Oh.
Splits the left side of their lip open and takes it right the way up, just missing their eye.
Okay.
And they just sort of grin with their mouth full of blood, letting it drip out and go, okay.
Oof. Yeah. Only a minor concussion, maybe, depending on how much it rung your bell there. Delightful. So, we delivered some excellent hits. We have taken some bad hurts. The fight is going to flip. We are leaning in towards you, turning the tide of everybody getting a little beaten up there to succeeding at the fight and taking out the rest of these people. I would like to know, for your character, what you do to contribute to the overall success of your group here. So, Cass.
Oh my goodness. There's so much happening.
Yeah.
And Cass sort of has like a front row seat in watching everyone get wrecked while she's getting the wind knocked out of her.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to okay. She's a little bit flexible. She's not like a contortionist, but she's flexible enough that she's able to bring her leg up behind her and reach the boot knife with her hands, which are behind her. And then in like a smooth motion, she just like drops a little bit limp in the arms of the people who are holding her. And with 1-2, with the knife, just takes their behind their knees out. Then stands up and bam, bam, they go down, and then flips the knife and throws it across the room at the person who is holding the mouse's hand, and just slams right there, and this big guy goes down.
So what I'd like you to do is roll what you would like in this moment to move towards success. You will manage to do what you were saying, but you may, do it with some extra flourish here.
Right. So it's dexterity. I don't know if it's specifically a dueling weapon. You let me know if that's dueling, or maybe it's.
I would say dueling, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Roll. Lean into what you're good at.
All right. I'm gonna use my dueling dagger then.
Okay.
I don't understand.
How is that? Well, it did come through with a number. It just didn't do the maths for you. So we have 6, 10, 17 total.
17. Cool.
Yeah, if you just hover over the 0. So 17 is absolutely a success. That's an incredible roll. So, and you got 2 3s, so technically there's some point. So yeah, I would say that, your 17 is very much your success at taking the people out that are around you, and that 3-point stunt is getting that little extra zhuzh of throwing the throwing dagger towards where Mouse is to land in the person who is holding him. What I will say is, Mouse, when you're rolling, I'm going to allow you to add 2 to whatever you roll to like ease you towards your success as well, with the assistance of a throwing knife going into the sky.
For those who are watching, that would be a lightning attack.
Ooh, hell yeah, it would be a lightning attack. That's Qunari, exactly. Beautiful stuff. So, the mouse. You're being held aloft. This guy has just had a throwing dagger thrown in, so whatever it is that you're about to do, you can roll this into the narrative of the moment that you turn the tide and push the group towards success.
Perfect. Can I sort of like knife hits the back, mouth goes open. I use that opportunity to shove sort of like the neck of my harp sort of like into that mouth, and I use my teeth to like pluck a note, and I want this sort of like in his death throes. I want this person to like turn on their comrades, like go berserk. Is that a thing I can do?
Yeah. Yes, and As we established last session, you have a fairly powerful spirit attached to your weapon that kind of is what is moving your will through the music. And so this is something that you want to happen, and the spirit can absolutely do that, perhaps even by possessing this guy. So what I would like is for you to roll whatever you would like here.
Okay. I think that would be. Could I argue musical lore? Like, is there a certain melody that I can?
Sure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like you're like, I know exactly. You've studied for a long time to figure out how these sounds work and how to channel yourself into it and your intention and your emotions.
I know the Ballad of the Man Mecha.
Yes. Do your roll, please.
That's
Remember,
what I
you're
know,
adding plus
as I'm
2
gonna
to
play that.
this. Mhm.
Awesome. So I'm gonna roll with focus, and that's
Oh.
23.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely beautiful. So you do this roll, and you can see that he's completely stunned by this. At first, it was just the dagger going in through the back. This sound causes him to just, it completely rings his bell. He lets go of your hand, so you drop to the ground. And in that moment, he'll blink a few times, and you, as the mouse, don't necessarily know exactly the mechanics that cause this, but behind his eyes seem to glow a sort of minty green, light blue kind of glow from behind them. And he turns around as if assessing the situation, clearly still able to see or at least sense in some way, picks his weapon up and starts to go for his friends. So there are people who are currently being taken down by this big guy that had you up by the hand.
Yeah.
Delightful.
It's like a pervasive scent of like gasoline, of like being coated in gasoline and not knowing if
Yeah.
you are like if there's a fire nearby.
I hate that I now have Daddy Yankee in my head.
Yeah, that's what is exactly.
Okay.
That's what that's the Ballad of the Man Mac.
Gasolina by Daddy Yankees in his head. Okay, yeah, that's the tune. That's the note. So, delightful. He is going berserk. Indeed, there is something otherworldly, something spiritual almost, from beyond the fade controlling him as he starts to kill his comrades. Eduardo, what do you do to flip and turn towards a complete success here?
Yeah, so I think in the chaos of this, that one of their owns just turned on them. I imagine that this has caused a bit of a distraction, and I think the camera kind of like changes almost its editing style. It like goes really really fast cuts. As a couple of them just kind of like just get like stabbed in the back. Eduardo is basically going to use the fact that I'm a journeyman in shadow. Sorry, novice in shadow. I go into effectively shadow mode. I just basically vanish, and I just kind of just like appear behind someone, just like just like a few people. You know that scene in Batman Begins when it's really badly edited and Batman kind of just is like a blur. It's that almost.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We love that. Yes, because I like, although it's not necessarily a function of the TTRPG, I
Yeah.
like in the computer games of this shadow mode is you essentially, there's just this spill, almost like an oil spill in a way, but it's shadows just pooling around you, and then you go invisible for a bit until suddenly the shadows will emerge as you come out to attack. So yeah, you go into full shadow mode. What would you like to roll here?
I would love to try and roll dexterity with my stealth focus.
Stealth, yes. And I believe you get to add a bonus to this because you're in shadow mode. So
I believe it's a +1 if my memory serves.
yes. Very good.
I think just before he does this, Eduardo's like, "Damn it! I was hoping to keep them alive."
Yeah.
That's a 17.
Delightful. That is definitely more than enough to hit. Yes. So it's a very good hit. Is it just one you want to take, or are you basically going shadow mode and coming out and doing like the double stab?
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed thing.
Just
I think
taking two of
I
them out,
pop
yeah.
off again, just like a couple of daggers, like just fly out and stuff and shoot. Like like a fan of throwing daggers, just like thunk
just
a few people.
People falling down left and right. Finally, the last to act, our final move to finish the fight. Isolt.
I think having just taken this hit to the face and still bleeding from their mouth as they're smiling, Isolt goes, "All right, time for the big gun since you asked for it." And you just watch as they bite down hard in the corner of their like the other side of their mouth, and they just spray poison from their mouth from the capsule they had in their tooth. I'm just absolutely a little fan of poison.
I'm gonna give you advantage. So that is wild. Okay, yes. You spray poison in their face.
Yeah.
What would you like to roll here to finish this fight off?
I think probably my poison lore.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they have spent a long time
You know,
crafting their
the-
little tooth capsules.
It's like it looks so horrific and so gnarly that they kind of gasp, and the fact that their mouths are open is giving you somewhere to aim for with your
Exactly.
poison.
All right, let's see how this goes.
You know, it's funny because it's like,
Mm.
you know, the Antivan Crows, it's sleek, it's in the shadows, it's, you know,
Yeah.
subtle. And now we're just like the horrific sounds of the apocalypse, poison being sprayed everywhere. Like, it's just.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
you get to see
might-
the process
Yeah,
even.
you do.
It's a 14, but I might use my advantage for it and see if I can,
Sure.
because I
If you want
got
to
them
spice
stacked
it
up.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted.
Okay, what I will say is you are describing the end of the fight here, so wrapping into not only the success, but the fact that you get 5 stun points here. I'll allow you to pepper and describe this however you choose. How does the fight end?
I think Isolt had the last sort of little fan of people, maybe 3 or 4,
Mhm.
and like that one side of their mouth is just the blood running down their face, and the other side is just like this sort of viscous, sort of honey yellow liquids coming down the other side. And there's a little spray of it across everyone's faces, and there's just a moment where everyone seems to stop, and then the people standing in front of them don't even die, their whole bodies lock up and they just drop.
So it's like a paralyzing them. Okay.
Yeah, and you can just see
Yeah.
like their eyes are still twitching back and forth for a good minute after this happens.
Okay. Yeah. So, the 4 of you, beaten, bruised, run through by a sword, some of you. We are injured, but we are victorious. And now that all of your combatants are laid waste on the floor, what do we do in the immediate aftermath?
Cass, who is standing there not holding a weapon anymore, just completely unarmed, but not looking so happy, sort of like reaches over to the bar and grabs a spare bar cloth and tosses it to Isolt.
Isolt has picked up like their glass of water and is like rinsing their mouth out. It's like tastes gross every time. Every time this happens. But catches the bar cloth and is like, thank you. And just wipes their face.
I think you get like the mouse gives Isolt like a look of respect almost. Of like, okay, this is how you and sort of like the similarity of like hallucinogens and like paralysis and like how the results are the same. I think there's like the scorn that's mostly on his face when looking at either of you is just kind of like melts a little bit, and there's like a kid who just saw something cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think Isolt like kind of a little bit catches it and goes, I told you I'm good at my job.
Eduardo kind of like just like staggers out from like behind, like from like somehow upstairs now. No one saw them go up there. They just like come out of like from upstairs, like just holding their side, like, shit. I'm getting too old for this crap. lights up a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone know who the fuck these people are?
Cass kind of opens the bathroom hallway door and just says to the tourists, "Now you might want to get out of here."
They're just like looking up at you wide-eyed. The husband of this couple that were here just kind of looking a little horrified and frozen in place, a little intimidated by you all, given what they've seen. The wife, however, stands up a little bit and peeks her head out and be like, "What was that? She just spat at them."
A wizard never reveals their tricks. We don't do autographs.
Okay,
Please, please get
do
out
all
of here.
crows do that? That was awesome. You're
You don't want to know.
just waves at you. So, like,
There's always back. It's like trade secret, but if you join up, I'll let you know.
and music as well. That was okay. We don't get anything like this back in Ferelden. So
I take out like a hat from my tank top and like I wait for a tip.
That's a little look around and just puts out a coin. Okay, very good. Are we free? Can we go now? Okay, thank you. That's okay. Come on. She just starts dragging him. Have a backbone, she says as she starts pulling him. And they vanish off.
I guess we set about like at least just checking the bodies for if they're all of another gang, if they have like a tattoo, that's fine, but looking for any sort of like letter of mark or money or
And a couple are alive, right?
I mean, I just cut a couple of tendons, so but they're probably I would
My
put it-
paralyzed ones are alive, but on the way out, I would say.
Yeah. You do find again, because it is just classic Dragon Age to do so, and only on one of them. So on the others you can find weapons, you may find some coinage here or there. It's not enough to feel like you want to take it, but occasionally certain crows have been known to clear a room of people such as this, gather whatever coin there is, and then donate it to wherever they feel so inclined to do so, whether it is a local orphanage or the business that just got destroyed so that they can do some repairs, that kind of thing.
Might be to this business, although now I'm a little bit like they cleared out so this could happen. I guess this saved their own skin, but
yeah,
they could have been like, do it outside.
They could have. But one of them does have a little note that says, "I don't care how you do it, but they need taken care of," with a little E at the end of it.
Who could this possibly be?
I look at Cass. I shoot her a look like, are you serious?
It's so cryptic. Who's E? There's so many E's in the city. Let's get the phone book or the whatever, the register, and go through it. I mean, my goodness, who could it possibly have been? Penny, for your thoughts? Eduardo.
No. I think
dog.
Right. Yes, you're right. I got stabbed on purpose. You see, it's also all a mind game to lure you off so that you fail the contract. Yeah.
You know what? That makes sense to me. That feels like something you would do. I see that vision. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I was complimenting your game. You good? You got stabbed.
Not really, but I'll be okay.
Okay.
It's not the first time, sadly.
I trust you. If you say you're good, you're good.
Here you go. One napkin.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll fix it.
I'd like to think that Izzle, you've got that, like when you've been to the dentist and your lips feel a bit numb. You've got a method down to not swallow what you're doing with it, but it can't help but feel the
there's
tingly numbness of your lips.
there's a little tingle in their face, and like
Yeah.
they're very much like wiped away the worst of it, but you can still see
Yeah.
like the blood and the cracks of their lips. They're just like, I don't know what you want from me. I did what I did.
Shall we debrief on this?
I think I want to like play a like a calming song so we can all just kind of like gather our senses and like leave the high adrenaline assassin mode and kind of like yeah, what's I think I want to compose something approaching God, Emiliano.
Emiliano. I
Emiliano.
wonder, the mouse, if you will indulge me.
Of course.
You go to try and pluck the strings to consider a calming song. But you feel, and you feel this occasionally. It has happened once or twice. It happened more frequently when you first gained this instrument, where you just have little moments of feeling inspired, um, and almost letting the motions happen without intention to see what this inspiration is pulling out of you. And for the first time, as you pluck on the strings with the intention to calm, but chasing this sensation that is just almost like at the back of you, you actually cast a song that is healing. Those of you who have taken injury actually start to feel there's this kind of tingling sensation that happens when you take healing potions or when a mage casts the heal spell on you that I always say it gets tingles and smells a little bit like aloe. um, and you feel that tingling sensation as whatever the mouse is doing with that instrument appears to be maybe not completely, but healing your wounds. Mm-hmm.
I kind of look surprised, but
Yeah.
is like the wound on Eduardo, like
Yeah.
the stab wound that healed, closed?
Yeah. Yep. The exterior certainly
I
like
like
the
I hold up my hand for my napkin back.
Yeah, Isabel kind of feels her face and it's like, oh, that's gonna be such a cool scar. Good job. And like what just tosses the mouse a coin and is like, great job.
Catching it in my hat.
Mm-hmm. Eduardo, do you give a tip or are you ignoring it?
I do. I do. Yeah, I think I also like. Thanks. I think I sent. I pull out like a coin of some description. It's a
Mm-hmm.
relatively high denomination one, I think. And I'm just like, thanks for that. You didn't have to do that. And I think when you look confused, I'm like, if you'd left me injured, it would have potentially. If you were planning to betray me, it would have made it easier.
Mm.
I like to play.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So it seems like for whatever reason a move has been made against you, maybe because you've been investigating and getting into his house. I know that two of you have plans for the following day, so I'm curious, is there any more that needs to be said as a fore? And if not, I would like to know what our Cantoris are actually intending for the following day.
Did other than the note to say I don't care how you do it, but they need taking out A. Was there anything else on these individuals that could indicate potential allegiance or anything like that?
Not necessarily. Their lack of symbols or affiliation with anything suggests that they maybe were just hired hands. The thing is,
Mercenaries or something.
if this was coming from Emiliano and it was a case of I just need to either distract, hurt, weaken, or maybe even kill you, that sending other crows is not an option. And so trying to send other people who at least could fight you was perhaps an option. Was it wise? Maybe not. Was it sloppy? Possibly. We're not getting the impression this is a very,
This
Um,
feels like it was an emergent, almost like a panic response of
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
had some mercs on hand for some reason,
Yeah.
and just gave us and was like, oh, there's people after me. It's these fools.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least it
Yeah.
buys me time, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cass kind of like perches up on the bar and like just sort of is like does powders herself a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty clumsy, wasn't it? Do you think he was even intending that they would come back and that he'd have to pay them? If so, then they would plan to meet him somewhere, and if not, then they were a throwaway, and this was just an incredible diversion for what? That's all that comes to mind.
A diversion for what, indeed?
I think, yeah, Eduardo's like, why bother? Why would he bother? I mean, if he assessed these, he would know that they weren't a match for any of us. Did he just hope it was numbers?
Maybe he only thought there's one contract on him.
It's just like playing the sensation of just like instead of like us four, and instead of just like two of us fading away and just like a target on two, it's like agreeing with Cass. Like that makes a lot of sense. Like overwhelming two people, but trying to overwhelm four crows, you need an army essentially.
You need more of them. Yeah.
I think Izzle is kind of like honestly crouched over one of the bodies of the one she paralyzed, and is just kind of like prodding at the body and just looks up and is like, I mean, if we're all here fighting these, no one's watching him. Could be making a break for it.
And like you say that, Eduardo like looks up and sighs and just bolts from the door. It's just gone.
I'm piggybacking Eduardo. It's exactly
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Are we racing towards his home?
Cass offers her arm to Isolde, like
Izzle will
ladies'
take
style.
it.
And we just sort of like walk out as dignified people.
Yes.
Stepping over the bodies.
Yes.
Come, my
We
dear,
will-
please.
Yes, we will very casually meander.
Yeah, you'll see the owner kind of like peering up from under a crate. They maybe got a tip off that something dangerous was happening and just tried to hide to save themselves because, you know, tangling with crows is dangerous.
I've left my hat with all the tips on the counter as a thank you.
Nice. I love that. So, as we either race towards, perhaps up on the rooftops, or walking casually in the streets, I would like to know from each of you, we're going to paint a scene for what you think you find when we get to Emiliano's apartment. Now, there are a few things in mind. Clearly, people were sent after you, so there may be some awareness that something is wrong on his part. There's clearly multiple contracts from multiple people and messiness not only within the crows but also within his family. We have evidence to suggest that Lucanus has been in his home at some point. We don't know the nature for why, but it's Lucanus. It could be a whole range of things. And a note was left there, staged, to imply that Lucanus was giving him a heads up and to meet upon the morrow, that he was in grave danger. So, bearing all of these moving parts in mind, I'll have you describe things in pairs. So I'm going to go for my two that are doing the crow thing. First of all, I'd like you to describe how you are using this city to your benefit. If you'll recall, Treviso, much like Antiva City and a range of other places around Antiva, is rigged up for the crows. The city was almost designed, or at least adjusted for you. Hidden panels and switches, doors that are not really doors, things that shouldn't be doors that are, pulley systems that zip you up to the top of a building. There are zip lines as well to get to and fro in places. The city is built and designed for you to get to where you need to in as convenient and subtle a way as possible. How are the two of you traveling?
I think Eduardo, to start with, sort of comes out of the eatery, turns into like a sort of small like alley, and just does the like bounces off like a couple of walls, like bunk bunk bunk, up onto the roof, hoping that the mouse is either still gripping hold or at least following suit. Are you? I guess is the question I should ask.
Yeah, I'm like peering over your shoulder, just kind of like doing the horse thing of like, giddy up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cool.
for the pair of you, I am going to allow you both to add an element of what we are going to find here. You do not have to describe the entire scene. We four are going to build the scene together. So, as you're on the approach, what would you like to offer up as something that is either seen, witnessed, happening inside, not yet aware of? What is going on here?
I think there's well, I suppose to build on what Jacob and Alarian were doing earlier, there's now a mass of merchants starting to descend on the sort of square outside of Emiliano's house. It's becoming incredibly busy. The roads are like way busier than than would be expected, and it's like really congested, and there's far more witnesses than personally Eduardo would prefer at this moment in time.
Yeah, and because our initial meeting was at 2 in the morning, we are still in the small hours of the morning, but at a time where merchants naturally start their setting up so that when it comes to early customers, they are already there and ready. So yeah, it's probably still dark, but the city has so many street lights that it's there's this ever-present warm glow, as you can see in the image behind me. So yeah, the streets are crowded as the setting up is still continuing down below.
I think, and this is to the mouse's complete dismay, there's like a podium being built for a band to play, so that Keen takes notice of like there's going to be other music, but also taking stock of that, like that music can be expected, and then kind of like thinking of Isolt like in that moment, and then the little wish we made before the campaign.
All right. So, it seems that it may be quite a noisy and entertaining day approaching. For my other pair that left in a more respectable way, the two of you are walking towards this area. You can add things to the scene even before you necessarily arrive. So, do the pair of you walk arm in arm all the way to the apartment where you believe Emilio may be?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I would invite you on a boat.
Yeah.
That we don't even waste our energy getting there.
Yes.
Let the boys run ahead, and we can have a little bit of time ourselves.
Yeah, I think we take the boat, and then by the time it sort of draws up, we are at a position where we can start exploiting some of those crow side passages, those little loose stones that, if you pull just right, will slide a section of wall aside for us to slip through, and avoid all of that merchant traffic that's still setting up, so that we can get to the heart of it very quickly.
Yeah, like under a bridge, there's a service grate that just opens to us.
Beautiful. So, as we're on the approach, the two of you as players can start to build out a scene of what we feel may be going on, things that you may encounter when you get there, presences that are there. What would you like to add to the situation that is happening at the apartments? Doesn't have to just be down in the markets, it could be up in the apartment itself.
We did take the contract from the apartment and didn't like place a dummy, so that's probably noticed. Would it be reasonable that like the apartment is in the process or has already been cleared out?
It's possible, yeah. Sure. Bex and Jacob, is there anything that you want to add before we flip back over?
I think it's possible that like the apartment's been cleared out, but also the shutters of the windows have been thrown open and there's lanterns lit, as if someone has been up throughout the night, much like us. And the lanterns are sort of burning low and dwindling, so it's very evident that it's not someone who's risen early and just set sort of lights on. And that the front door to the apartment building perhaps is closed and barricaded up, but sort of haphazardly, as if someone's done it in a rush.
Okay. Very good. Jacob, anything to add?
Yeah. Two things. Number one, it turns out that tomorrow's spice market is being visited by an important diplomatic dignitary, some prince of an important trade partner of the merchant families of the city. And so this place is crawling with city guard and private guards already, staking it out like Secret Service style, basically like making the place as secure as possible. And then the second thing, much to almost everybody's confusion, a big banner gets unrolled that just says "Happy Birthday, Rick."
Oh, okay, that's
just
very
in
funny.
front of the building.
I love that. Take advantage for that. That's really funny. Happy birthday, Rick.
It's a reference to a comedy sketch from The Whitest Kids You Know.
Okay.
If you've ever seen it, if you haven't, it's not appropriate for all ages. This group, so don't maybe Google them in front of your kids. But
I love that. Beautiful. Contrary to popular feeling, like we're here telling a very dramatic telling about thieving crows, but somehow this is a universe that Rick and Morty have infiltrated as well. Why not? Okay, so that is a thing that is going on. I'll go back to the other two for a moment, Eduardo and the mouse. You approach the area. We can see that there is confusion. There is a bandstand sort of getting set up. There is a large banner being unfurled. Up top, there is shutters open slightly with dwindling light. Where are you and what are the two of you doing?
I think the mouse probably will realise that we're further away than we should be for how long we've been travelling. And probably just as the mouse realises that, Eduardo just stops, kind of like, and kind of like shakes them off, because like they're sort of like hanging off their back or whatever, and just turns very calmly, like, I don't know if you meant to do it, but you healed me regardless of that, but gives you some leeway. I need to know right now, were those a play by you and Alaren?
No.
So we're still good?
Could be. Are we?
As good as we can be in our profession.
Are we still gonna kill him?
If I have to.
And you have to.
I have to.
I don't.
No. But you don't need to know. You don't need to think about that as long as you've done your bit.
I don't like being negligent. I don't like cutting short people's experience of my art.
I don't like dying for punk kids with a harp.
And walk away. I'm not scared of you. You are scared.
If I walk away, we die. Because I will have failed my contract. We need to make this work together.
You have one suggestion I'll listen to. No music, no harp. And I took the harp away.
Mm-hmm.
Hands free. I'm all ears.
I need the kid to live. I need the kid to die. The crows need to think that we've done both of our things. The kid needs to not be in an intravisor. He's making a play. He's making waves. He needs to shut the fuck up and not be here. And we both get what we want.
Mouse is deep in thought and kind of like,
need a body though.
I can get you a body. And I sort of like point direction of like the safe house that I showed you. I have your body. I think I want to extend like the sort of like punctured bloody hand and grip. No one knows this. I have a reputation of being a scary motherfucker.
I have a reputation of being efficient. No one ever needs to know.
Good. Let's get our body.
Not.
Okay. So the pair of you disappear off to the safe house. Meanwhile, Isolt and Cass.
I think Isolt and Cass are sort of in the throng of everyone setting up this market. Isolt kind of just rolls their eyes. It's like, it would be here. All these people would be here. Very snarky and tired. And sort of side eyes Cass and is like, this market isn't normally here, which makes me think that it was probably you two. But that's fine. Whatever. Part of the game, I guess.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Where are the others?
Yes, you absolutely
Did
do. They were on the roof, but
Okay. What's a little chaos?
I love a little chaos. What do you have in mind?
I'm not going to tell you.
No fun.
That's part of the game.
Fine. You make the chaos. I'll get us into that building.
You want to go in, me and you now?
I don't know if we should go in, but we should make sure we have a point of entrance. You want the pair of them to show up and we've done nothing? Please. We'll be flayed alive for the thought.
Right. Where's the nearest bakery?
Like around the corner, probably.
Great. It's like 4 a.m. or something.
Mm-hmm.
Means the bakers are up.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the bakery. I take a look at the scene. I go to the bakery, sort of go in, and I just put down stupid money on the counter. And I say, I need that cake, and I need it to say happy birthday, Rick, and I need it 5 minutes ago.
Looks at the money, eyes go a little dazzled. On it. Somebody vanish inside and very quickly, haphazardly at first, but then when they start piping with a rather expert hand, writes happy birthday, Rick. Blood red on the cake.
Come back out with blood red. Oh, beautiful color. Love it. In the box, come out. So you said the door is barricaded. Are there any kind of like guards at the door?
I mean, I don't think so. Because I don't think it was barricaded by guards. I think it was like Emiliano himself was just like
Yeah.
shored up a bunch of stuff at the door.
Sure. He's been given a note from somebody he's clearly very familiar with that he is in grave danger, so it is perhaps just him.
Great. Out of curiosity, are there boats around?
Sure.
Great. And is there any sort of like side entrance, servants entrance to this building, anything like that?
There's maybe a service entrance to get up to the back end to access the different apartments here, and maybe just a safe way to exit if it's ever needed. Sort of like a fire safety stairwell in a way.
Okay. You said you need a distract, but there's no like clear guard at the door or anything. Okay.
What he has on the inside, it's hard to tell, but people on the outside, I can't imagine. No.
Cool. All right. You said you need a distraction? I'll get you a distraction. I turn to some of the biggest looking private guards. And I just go up to them in a panic. I'm so sorry. All this chaos. It's Rick's birthday. I have Rick's birthday cake, and Rick is in there, and they've locked the door. I just need to get the cake to Rick. All I need to do. Can you just help me get in, please? This is my only job.
Roll me a deception, please, or performance.
I'll take deception.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my advantage.
Sure.
Okay, that's better.
Incredible. And some stunts. Yeah. Not only do they believe you, but the 2 stunt points, I will say, they immediately go. They're not hired guards for this building in particular, but they are, feeling, like they want to help you with your plea, and kind of look at the building and figure out. And there's like a little look of confusion on their face about why there might be a barricade at this area. And goes over to try and help you find a way inside of this building. Now, because there's apartments, there probably are other people who live in here that would be easier to get to their homes, but where Emilio's place looks a little more restricted. So this person is going to give you some kind of assistance, and even if it's just a case of like lifting and removing a few things and putting a little bit of their strength behind it. Yeah.
Great. I would use my stunt point to get it to be like more than one, and that it causes a little bit of a commotion, and like a bunch of the energy in the plaza turns toward the building, and now the building is just kind of like swarming with like confused armed people.
Okay. They're somehow, some of them may be just caught wind that your level of panic and whatever this person is, and somebody trying to get in a building, that maybe there's something wrong. So now there's like a few of them trying to.
Great.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of chaos and confusion.
Yeah. Bread and butter. Okay. So.
I think while the confusion is going on, Isol slipped round to where the back entrance is, and rather than going up the stairwell, has just sort of kicked out two little like mini daggers and is using them as like climbing picks.
Like
And it's just
Titans.
yeah, little Titans sort of scaling the building with the attempt to like tuck themselves under like one of the balconies and just climb there.
Okay. Sure. So, in amongst the confusion, Ellerin, you were being given an entrance in some way. There's people now helping you. There's a focus on this building. There's a bit of a hubbub going on now. Multiple people are going, "Who's Rick?" And Isolt, you're using this confusion to start finding weak spots in the building and are slowly climbing your way up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna flip back over to my other pair, Eduardo and the mouse. I imagine you're able to go to this safe house to acquire a body. In what manner are you acquiring this body?
I think the mouse sort of like does the like plays the tune for the Hesterian Hesterian, right? Yeah, Hesterian mural. It opens up again, and the person inside the safe house is sort of like in a progressed state of this delirium, and is just like open mouthed looking at anything colorful, just like rapidly switching like sensory input to keep it going. And I just nudge at Eduardo and point and just like go.
Eduardo is probably going to have to. It will. I suppose we need to kill. We need to kill them also. But I also need to then disfigure this person.
Sure, yeah. We don't need
Which I
to
think we need
dwell
to
on the
fade black
details
for.
of it, but
Yeah.
yes, we will fade to black in the understanding that we are acquiring something that will look that will be a fitting substitute.
I've worked with Isolt long enough that I at least have some idea of the types of poison
Sure.
they use,
Yeah.
so I could.
And also a crow's bread and butter, if you're needing to like you know, have a body substitute something else that you're trying to do, one of the key methods is actually fire as well. So setting a blaze. So we acquire a dupe for Emilio and are able to likely.
I'm going to try and take quite a long time to do this.
Okay.
Probably longer than I should. I don't know if you need me to make a roll. I'm definitely trying to stall the mouse.
Then yes, I will ask you to roll.
Are you trying to like deceive me? Can I
think so.
Catch on?
It's some
Sure.
form of deception.
You can perception empathy with a communication deception. A roll off.
Some sneaky dealings here. Oh my goodness.
Social combat.
Let's see, perception. I don't have empathy, so I'm just going to
But I don't have deception. So.
Oh well, there we go. There we go.
Flat deception. Flat perception.
Oh.
I'm going to spend some advantages.
Okay.
I think I have one left.
Okay.
That's 4.
Oh, dude. Come on.
Oh. Crow v Crow action. You know, a 19 with 2 6s, knowing you'd stunted and getting stun was absolutely phenomenal. It would have been intensely difficult to beat that, and yet rolling in with that final advantage point there, 5, 5, 5 with a +5. That is a 20 with 5 stun points. Unfortunately, you have been pipped. You are stalling, and perhaps the mouse is now catching on to the fact that you're taking longer to do this job than you really ought to. I would like to know as far as Eduardo knows, this is still working. Mas, how are you going to handle that situation?
I think Eduardo, because during the meetup with the four of us, and I gave you like the taste of like that calm and the sense of like time dilation of how what you thought was 3 seconds was like actually a minute. You think more, or you think less time has passed, and I'm going to give you a choice. If you want to, you can catch on to the fact that you are being handled
Mm.
in that way, but you can also be like, keep your back turned, like this is going perfect.
I think it's more interesting that ultimately I think that I did really well. I think to reflect the fact that in fiction, I may have said, I don't know, I rolled a 19, but I think I'm doing really good at this.
Mhm.
I think it makes sense that I would not twig on that you've noticed and that you're counter playing me effectively.
Mhm.
I think that makes more sense.
You think that I'm
I'm muted. I'm going to give you advantage for that, Eduardo, just for rolling with the fact that I am happy to take the L in that. Okay.
I think um I think Eduardo believes that the mouse is just jamming and just kind of killing time.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is you think that how you handle contracts has always been non-lethally.
Oh. Okay.
And
So, yeah.
I want to describe this as, so like you're losing yourself in disfigurement. Maybe there's like a dissociation going on because you don't want to be like too viscerally like in the word.
Mm.
And the sensation of like a just like a cityless open plain, wind against you, blue skies,
Mm.
and serenity, and the idea that what you see, so like this endless vast expanse with like maybe like a little gazelle or like some animals popping up here and there is purpose in the continuation of all these colors, of all these shapes, and that abruptly ending it is not what assassins do. That's not art. And you've
Okay.
always been an artistic kind of assassin, haven't you?
Mm. Yeah. Happy to roll with it? Good. Um, very nice. Okay, I love that. And I also just want to commend, going over the table ever so slightly there, the open line of communication between players with consent being given
Yeah.
while roleplay is still happening. Very good. Well done, everybody. Um, so,
Thank you so much.
welcome. We're gonna pull into the other two with the understanding that the mouse and Eduardo will be pulling in as this scene is unfurling. I am now going to allow you guys to describe how this job gets handled. How do we end the contract, everybody? So we're starting with the two who are closest to the scene. We have both found different ways into the building. So I'm going to allow you to each describe your own actions in this moment and kind of build upon each other's scenes. And then when it feels natural, we're going to bring in the other two as well. Um, I think the first one to come in is probably going to be Cass, just because you're getting a very legitimate way in. Isolt, you're not going to be very far behind. In fact, whatever is going on, you likely are going to start becoming privy to very quickly. It's just that yours is you're using damn gains of her body strength to get yourself up there.
Got those big arms.
Yeah. So, we're gonna start with Ellerin, Aranai. What happens when you enter into this apartment?
Um, gosh. I think what she is trying to do is basically figure out. It seems that um, this guy has either barricaded himself in or made a very, very intensive diversion.
Mm.
And so she's trying to figure out very quickly if what's on the outside is followed up on the inside by somebody who's actually in here, or if it's just a facade on the outside, number one. And number two, are there other people in here with him? Does he have a posse? Like he hired people to be there?
Certainly.
So
sensible questions. I will say, I mean, unless you have an answer to them, we can put two co-conspirators to come up with an answer to those questions.
I would love the co-conspirators.
So for the three of you, building up this barricade, is he in there? And if he is or not, are there others in there too? And just for a little juicy sprinkle, because there's three of you, who is in there? There are a few people we can pull in, of course. There's many moving parts here. There are family members and people who brought out contracts, and there's members of his own crow house who are either very happy with him or very unhappy with him, depending on which one we're talking about. So, what's going on inside this apartment, everybody? What does Cass find?
I mean, I feel like he has to be in there.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like the barricade is like a last-ditch effort to buy some time to get things in motion before he bails.
Okay.
Which means I'm gonna suggest there's probably some of those partners in his little merchant scam.
Sure. My other two co-conspirators. What's going on in here? Who's here?
Fraser, please go first.
I think Mateo's there because he's gonna make a bail for town and he wants to take Mateo with him.
Oh, Mateo is there, the axe lover, still wearing the crow ring.
God.
Okay. So, the person who gave the contract to yourself, or at least your house, and it was assigned to you. And Ruben, anything else? Anybody else?
Anybody else? Just like maybe it's like a total curveball because we did mention like a possible Qun involvement. Maybe just like a Qunari trader like there, or just like not even a trader, like one of those military spies that they send out to scout, you know?
Oh.
So just like
Ben Hathsworth. All right. Here we are. Okay. I love this. So we have the ex-lover who did put out a contract against him, but he is here. There was a note left after all. Clearly concerned. Is he here to rescue him and run away with him? Is he here to ensure the contract is fulfilled? Who knows? I guess we're about to find out. And there's also a Qunari. Beautiful. What are you going to do with that information, Elerin?
This is so absolutely fucked. I hate you guys.
Yeah.
No, this is great.
Soon you will outnumber them.
No, I love it. Okay, I think what's probably going to happen is they're not on the floor that Emilio's flat is on, but like on a one floor either up or down. And I think I just kind of like I'm walking through looking, like opening doors, and I just like walk into this room holding the cake into this room that has the Qunari, the Emilio and Mateo all in it. And I think there's a moment of pause where everyone turns to me and is like, who is this? And I'm just like, I have a cake. Quick question. Do I recognize Mateo?
You may have been present when the contract was passed in and spoken about. So, yeah, you maybe lock eyes with him and there's a second of you're like, I reckon. Oh, yep. So this is Mateo, ex-lover of Emilio, who was the one that set up the contract that yourself and the mouse are currently trying to fulfill.
And then, so I'm going to turn to Mateo and I'm going to say, it's what you ordered, right? Or is the order off? And I reveal
yeah.
that there is a cake.
Yeah, there's with the icing. Happy birthday, Rick. I think he's gonna look a little dumbfounded between yourself and then the others, and then you again. And as he tries to find his words, Isolde, you are gonna be able to get up. I
Just
would
gonna be
like to know. Yeah.
You need to answer me faster.
Yeah. Uh As you
Mm.
come up, I'm gonna want to know how you are framing Isolde. Are you getting to a point where you are spying on and listening? Are you going to emerge into the scene, and then I'm gonna let the others be co-conspirators to build this?
I think Izzle gets to the point where they feasibly could get in the window, but sort of pauses for a second and like almost like peeks over the top to assess, sees everyone and sees that everyone at the minute has their back turned to them,
Yeah.
and then slithers in the window.
Okay.
I think you see me catch your
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah. It's like a moment.
It's like,
The question I'm going to pose to the co-conspirators on this entry point to our final scene of our session here is there are three of you, there are three other people in this room. Take who you wish. How does Emilio react to that question in this moment? How does Mateo react and answer the question in the moment? What is the Qunari doing? Take who you want. What's happening in this moment at the question that is posed by Ellerin?
I think Emilio goes, "Who's Rick?"
Take advantage of that. That's hilarious. Yes. Who the fuck is Rick? Very good. Yeah, in this moment, that is kind of like it's eye catching enough, and he's confused as to what's going on, and the question being posed to Mateo is just like, who's Rick? What's going on? Very good. The other two, either Mateo and the answer to Ellerin, or what is the Qunari doing?
I think the Qunari looks kind of bemused at the idea of a birthday cake.
That
It's so
tracks.
outside of like how the Qun works, and
Yes.
they just like don't get it.
Mm.
So don't really understand what's happening. So I think they're in almost like stunned silence, and just like
Mm-hmm.
you can almost hear the cogs turning in their head, like, oh yeah, I learned about this in my sort of spy lessons,
Yeah.
trying to remember what it is.
Okay, so they're just looking bemused at the fact there's a cake. So one person's
Bemused
who's
and
Rick.
confused. Yeah.
The other
bemused
one is what is a birthday cake? So Jacob, how do you think Mateo is going to answer your question?
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this question, honestly, because it's too much in my court. I would love for someone else to answer that, if that makes
Sure.
sense, right? Because
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
answer
so-
to that question changes everything that I do in this moment.
Very true. So I'm going to throw it over to Bex then.
I think, yeah, Mateo is baffled by the manner of entry. Like everyone else in this room is just sort of looking at the cake and the writing on it, and then back at Emiliano and then at the Qunari, and then goes, I think that's what I ordered. I think the order's still good. And then goes, sorry about the wreck of it all to Emiliano and steps back.
Cool.
Is it where with okay? Yeah.
Then I know exactly what I'm gonna do.
Beautiful. I think as you're poised with your action, I will allow the mouse and Eduardo to at least be on the approach in case there is things that the four of us are wanting to weave together as the contracts are about to be completed. So I'm curious now what direction this is taking. If the two of you are coming, are we simply coming with the body for the replacement?
I think in character, that's the plan. I think out above table, I don't think this will work anymore because I think Eduardo, when he came up with this plan, was banking on Emiliano being on his own, so he could. I think
Yeah.
but I think for Eduardo, yeah, I think we're just sneaking a body through this, which is going to be hard given how busy the roads are. But I'm sure we'll figure it out. We're both clever people.
Sure. Well, I guess the thing to pause it then to consider as we're about to build the scene is that the only person really who makes this awkward is the fact that there's a Qunari there, because I believe the intention with the mouse is to do what he has to do, but then give Emilio to Matteo, and then I guess you just have to try and tangle with the Qunari and make sure there's no witnesses, which you guys are very good at doing. So to that end, we know what Cass is about to do, or at least Cass knows what she's about to do. I'll give a little opportunity if there's anything you guys are wanting to throw in this way, or you can just step back and be like, "You got this, girl. What are you doing?"
Yeah, I like the idea of that because of like the setup of like tricking Eduardo, or like
Mm-hmm.
the attempted mutual tricking that costs so much time that it really is Salt and Cass on the scene, so that
Okay.
we are there for the aftermath of it and like to
Yeah.
help wrap up cleanup. But I think this is like all the scheming we've been doing just like
didn't.
It's just as great. It's
No,
so
then
layered.
we've just basically hindered our own ability to do our jobs. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
a
great. I think
classic
we're self-destroying.
telenovela. You're gonna walk in the door like Troy in that one scene from Community where
Community,
everything
yeah.
is on fire. So, I guess we are stepping back.
I think
Alarian. Yes.
before Lauren does anything, Isil will kind of make eye contact over like everybody's shoulder and sort of sees that Cass is about to go for the strike, and just as quietly as possible is positioned themselves behind the Qunari, ready to run interference on that front.
Get rid of witnesses.
Yes.
Okay. So you're not behind Emilio.
No, I think Isil in this moment makes a choice and chooses to trust you that you can handle that.
Great. I then, in that case, changes what I'm doing slightly. I wing the cake in Emilio's face as the first move, and follow it up with a full body, like rugby style shoulder tackle out the open balcony door that Isolt had toward the canal, trying to get enough force that we go over the railing into the canal.
Okay. Into the canal. I think
Because
that
we have no idea what the mouse and Eduardo are planning.
No, we don't. So I'm gonna paint a little scene here. You're going to cake in the face, cause enough distraction. It's enough of a recoil that the core body strength shifts slightly off kilter. You're using that momentum to get him out, and I'm not gonna make you roll for this because you guys are in Teven Crows, right? You know what you're doing. He goes flying out the window, and so
With me as well. I'm
Oh,
following him.
beautiful.
We're both going.
Isil, I'm gonna have you describe how you do it, but you dispatch the witness. And we'll come back to that description in a moment. But while that is happening, the flying body of this person with a fellow crow flying through the air in an arc and heading towards the water. Eduardo and the mouse, you guys are on the street that is next to this water, so you see them arcing over the top of you, and then the deep sploosh sound as two bodies land in the water not far from you, with bits of birthday cake falling behind like it's confetti. And it's just punctuated by the fact that, like in the background, it's soft focus at first, and then it focuses on happy birthday, Rick.
And then there's guards like on the building who have been trying to sort of figure out how to get in, and they all like turn and watch this happen.
Yeah. Perfect. So as this kind of happens, there's like probably a moment of like pause with the two of you. So, just as a close up, downstairs, Mouse Eduardo, now very wet, Ilaren, what are we doing in this moment to close the contract down here? And up top with Isolde, we'll start with you, given that the contract's about to end downstairs. How do you dispatch this Qunari?
I think having positioned themselves right behind this Qunari, they put both their arms like hooked under the Qunari's arms and just press at the back of their neck and just bodily toss them until you hear like this crunch of their neck break. And then just to be sure, sort of flips them and drives their dagger in between their spine.
Yeah. So it is efficient, and as we discussed moments ago, despite the fact that not too many crows are trained to have body strength behind them, they are nimble, they are creatures of dexterity, but you use the strength of others against them, and you very much use the strength of the Skinarii against them.
Yeah, I think it's very much
body
like
slam, shank them in the spine.
Yeah, I think it's very much like a center of gravity thing. Like they pitch themselves very low and rely on the fact that this Qunari is very top heavy, horns and all, and just toss them.
Flip them. Probably like get the horns to do the flipping. Excellent.
Yes.
It looks incredible. As that slam happens, and probably the very satisfied look on Isolde's face as you land the killing blow, our camera will pan very quickly down to the scene on the street. The three of you that are down there, what happens and how do we end this contract?
I think the mouse, because the people in the river, they're still alive, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
I jump into the water
Mm.
and I want to start playing the harp, knowing full well that water is a better conductive medium for sound than air is. And I think the directionality of the instrument is rendered moot. And I think the mouse knows that what this song is going to affect both the contract giver and himself as well. But the art has to be completed. And I think he starts strumming, and it takes a while for the effect to take hold, but like everyone in the water is sort of like becomes like glossy-eyed and still-minded, but yet like looking into a dying star burned onto your corneas and feeling that, and that's slowly taking over. And I think that is a process that is being set in motion.
Chance to resist this?
You can, if you see Mouse about to jump in the water with the instrument, try to swim away and climb out. Yes.
I have like willpower, self-discipline, and stuff like that. I mean, my goal is to get a hand on the body and get them into that boat that I hired.
Sure. So you can be getting up into the boat with an aim to, once you're in the boat, turn around to then pull something up. So you're initially scrambling to get up into the boat. If you want to make it a dice roll, you can roll, but I'm happy to say that you can complete that, climb up onto a boat.
A lot of advantage, but
sure. Let's see what the dice say. Sure.
Not bad.
Not bad. It's enough to get out the boat. Probably just you start to feel it, but like your upper half is mostly out, so you're not under the full effect. You start to feel a slight. It's a little odd because of your proximity to the water, but you manage to get up and into the boat. The person who you'd hired to stand there is kind of looking at you like, you know what?
Sorry,
you don't question a crow when it's crazy birthday party. Okay. The mouse, you are rendering yourself and the mark currently out for the count. Eduardo, do you do anything in this moment? You're standing at the side watching this unfurl in the water.
Yeah, I think I think this is when Eduardo kind of, as I discussed in I think this is when Eduardo kind of like snaps out of it a little bit now that the mouse is focused elsewhere. This spell isn't as effective. I can see that the mouse is kind of playing and hitting himself. Sorry, phlegm in my throat. I had a cold earlier this week. There's like a street fair and stuff happening, right? There's a big party type situation.
Well, yes, it's very early in the morning, so they're like setting up for that.
Would it be possible that there is some form of wax or something around somewhere?
Yes, and
stuff it on my ears.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drown this motherfucker.
Okay.
The mouse is insensate.
Yeah.
Ellerin
I think
is
there's
swimming
definitely
away.
going to be a moment where the music playing likely stops because your ability to function with it is going to start to
Yeah,
struggle.
but
Nice.
I'm going to try and kill.
You're going to go in and
I'm going. I see that it's not working.
okay.
I'm just going to try and just take him down with me.
Okay. Cass, do you act on this at all?
Yeah, I have a job to do, which is to get this comatose body out of the water and to the person who hired us, who's in the building that I just ran away, not at the address that I told them to be at this morning. So I'm a little bit confused, but I still have a job to do, which is that I need to get this comatose body. I don't think I've even quite registered what's happening to the mouse yet because I'm focused on the job. And so I see like Eduardo going in, and I'm just grabbing the pole from the boat person and pushing the boat toward where the body goes, and like ready to knock Eduardo with that pole if I need to.
Okay. Sure. I would like the pair of you to pick a skill that makes sense in what you are trying to achieve here and roll off against each other.
Dexterity or strength?
I am absolutely terrible at it, but I've got to focus on it, so I think it makes sense. Stamina, I am just going to try and just hold on for dear life.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. All right.
So I guess if you're doing stamina, that I'm doing strength because I'm also terrible in it. This is not
Hey,
elegant.
you can go with what's good for you.
Let's just see what the dice do then.
Let's just go on the dice.
Oh,
I'm going to advantage that.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
advantage.
The advantage dices have been very helpful to people recently, so
There's
there you go. Oh, and a stunt.
I
will
have
say that
to
you're
advantage that.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
have to.
Yeah. It's a fight against the two houses.
Oh,
Oh, that's unfortunate. So what happens is you're like trying to pry Eduardo off, or at least start to hit him. Unfortunately, by hitting him, you're kind of like it's almost like dunking them further underwater.
pushing me under.
There's thrashing going on. There's a bit of a struggle. I will say this person probably slips out of consciousness at this point. Eduardo, you're also like under the water, so you may have to like pop up at this point. I think now it's up to you as well whether you follow. I think Mateo is probably run downstairs given everything that just happened, and is on at the rushing up to the side to see what is going on.
If I can catch him before he gets out, I think
Sure.
Izzle almost like scruffs him
Ah,
with the back of the collar and sort of hauls him to the balcony,
okay.
points down and just goes, "Sure about Mercy Claus?" and is like shaking him a little bit.
Are you trying to intimidate him?
It's like you did this.
I don't think they're necessarily trying to intimidate him,
Okay.
but I do think that is the effect that's happening.
Intimidate for here is normally in strength, but I'll allow you to just roll a flat communication roll if that's better.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. He seems pretty intimidated by what you're doing, scared at being at the edge of this balcony where they've just seen their ex-lover getting thrown off, and the scuffle that is happening down there looks kind of horrified because it looks like they're trying to kill him. And then just looks in your eyes and says, I am aware that death may have been a consequence of this. I just would have preferred mercy.
Well, don't always get what we want, and just sort of lets go of him and starts throwing knives out of their pockets.
Let go of him like you're just gonna let him run downstairs, or let's go of him like off the balcony?
No, just sort of like
Okay,
pushes him
just
back
let him
into
go.
the.
Okay.
And it's like
okay.
you are no use to me anymore. Goodbye.
He's running downstairs. So.
I think at some point, Cass gives up the pole and just like reaches her arm in the water and pulls as Eduardo up with her mangosh out and just like holds it against the neck of Eduardo and is just like, stop, please stop. I just have to finish the job.
You said if there was a fight, you were allowed to finish him. There's clearly a fight.
It's clear that Emilio is gone at this point.
He's certainly lost consciousness, yes. You could pull him up. There would be a means by which to take him out and try to prevent full death. But yes, it's certainly getting messy down here. Isolde, if you're down there as well, we now have 4 of you. The mouse, you're kind of.
I actually think Isolde
Yeah.
is picked like their vantage point and is
Yeah.
using the balcony to like get an aim so that if Emiliano's head pops up or if
Okay.
Eduardo looks in trouble.
If we'll allow for a poetic end to this story, Cass
Cass will
finishing
pull
this contract.
Eduardo up onto the boat, and then with Eduardo's help, pull the body of
Sure.
Emilio up onto
Well,
the boat.
what I was going to suggest is that in the scuffle and trying to deal with this and saying, I just need this contract to end, I would say you have an option here of choosing to try to get the body of Emiliano out and perhaps still run the chance of at least trying to resuscitate. But Mouse is in that water and likely drowning too. Would your focus be on finishing the contract with Emiliano or saving the mouse?
I think what would happen is she would pull the body up and see this person fully out of it and unconscious, and just be like, that's mercy enough. Realizing that the mouse is still in the water, seeing their body sort of like bobbing, be like, that's mercy enough. Throw their knife down and just dive in for the mouse.
Okay. So as Cass goes in to pull the mouse out, probably leaving this instrument to slowly float to the bottom of this canal as the body is pulled up and out before the mouse also drowns. Eduardo, Isolde, do you finish your contract?
Absolutely.
I think
who does it?
I'll allow my young colleague to take the finishing blow.
Yeah, I think
I almost fucked it, man, and I think Eduardo knows that they almost fucked it.
Yeah, I think Isolde from up high takes a moment to dip their throwing knife, not in a poison this time, but almost in like an anesthetic, and just throws it and catches Emiliano right in the hollow of the throat.
Okay. So, as the scene starts to fade out, and it's almost like this jarring moment of the other music and the chatter and the concerned sounds of people in this fairground, and 3 people all as a door opens somewhere distant shouting, "Hey, happy birthday, Rick."
We heard something happened to you. You okay, man?
Yeah. Cass, you're able to rescue the mouse, pull them out, cradle them to you. Interestingly, given that Matteo was there and stood at the side, he saw your efforts. He saw that mercy was achieved and that the killing blow was not by your hands. So your contract did end equally to my Cantori, despite the messiness of it, perhaps more messy than you would like. He has been killed. And your contract has also ended. In terms of emotional repercussions for yourself, I imagine this will be a difficult one for some of you, but in the eyes of your houses, in the eyes of the crows, you did send your regards. Happy birthday, Rick.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy 43rd.
Yeah, woo! Thank you very much to my 4 players in telling a story of professional crows with messy social lives. Thank you very much for joining us here and being part of this very special Dragon Age story here at the Transmissions. I will allow us to go around the table and just say who you are, where we can find you on the internet. Obviously, this has been pre-recorded, so the things that we would like to plug may be slightly in the ether in terms of date-wise, but if there's something regular that you want to direct people towards, you are more than welcome to do so. I can start with myself. I am Amber, Humble on the internet, use they them pronouns. I'm a GM here and part of the team at the transmissions. This is where you can usually find me running a flagship Dragon Age story that will be in the throes of season 3 when you see this. And you can also see me in other places too. So, going in the order that we did our original intro, starting with Bex. Who are you? Who have you been playing? And where can we find you on the internet?
Well, I've been Bex. I use she, they pronouns. I was playing Isolt, the terrible ADHD menace that they were. You can find me at Phoenix Force on Blue Sky, where I am mostly just talking about all sorts at any given point, but mostly my PhD in contemporary lesbian fantasy fiction. So always fun. I also co-host a queer horror podcast called Out to Get You, which updates whenever we can fight the horrors of the real world, you know? But yeah, you'll also catch me on various other actual plays, but they tend to just come as and when, and my Blue Sky is the best place to find them.
All right. Ruben.
Hi, I've been Ruben. You can find me on Blue Sky as Urban Friend Den with an occasional whack out of my post that I like to do. I played the mouse, but up until like 10 minutes ago, I'm not sure if the mouse knows he's the mouse anymore. But, that's a mystery for the lore crafters or the fanfic writers. Yeah, that's that was a saga.
Wild. Thank you. All right, Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob. You can find me at Water Mosaic on any platform, and I played Elren Kasora Ariani, famed duelist, and you can find my podcast, The Witches of Wadera Keep, which is a nice witchy story using the game Wickedness, published by Possum Creek, about 3 witches trying to keep their coven alive. And if you're in Berlin, you might be able to catch a live show of Tales Held Dear, which is comedy improv with a fantasy twist. And I like to imagine that our characters either have a drink together or tangle again at some point.
Why not both? Very good. Last but not least, Fraser.
Hello, I've been Fraser. I use he, they pronouns, and I was playing Eduardo Cantori, who also uses he, they pronouns. Probably can't find me anywhere on the internet. However, if anyone watching happens to be at Gen Con Indie this year, come find me. I will be hanging around with the Rowan Rook and Deckard stall. I will be running a few games for them. Yeah, and I've had a great pleasure being a ridiculous menace.
Yes, very good. Thank you very much. And thank you again to this wonderful cast for our very special Dragon Age show. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Bye.